from Hersheypark Stadium, PCN presents the PIAA Quad A State Championship. Our matchup, Pittsburgh Central Catholic 14-1 and 14-1 Parkland. Good evening, everyone, and welcome aboard our finale of a weekend of state championship football. The Quad A State Champion, it's a matchup of once beaten Central Catholic and Parkland. Alongside Steve Degler, my name is Bob McCool. And Steve, we've got a matchup tonight. It's really a little bit of flash against grit.
No question about it. Pittsburgh Central Catholic, a little bit of that old school. They like to run the football, play defense, shorten the game. They average less than 100 yards per passing on offense, nearly 240 yards on the ground, and a very stingy defense. While Parkland has a lot of athletes on the offensive side of the football, they'll throw the spread at you, and they have a great quarterback, a very talented receiver, and a gritty running back that can put some points on the board.
Terry Totten is the head coach for Central Catholic, and he used to be the defensive coordinator before taking over the head coaching responsibilities. So that's a big reason why they are a defense-first kind of team. And in 11 seasons, the results speak for themselves. 124-19 overall as the head coach for the Vikings. And they are a team, as Steve said, that will run the ball first. And when you have a running back like Ronnie Jones, it's a good reason to do it that way.
This guy is a threat every time he touches the football anywhere on the field. What a weapon. Nearly 1,500 yards rushing so far this year, 8 yards a carry, 18 touchdowns. However, he has also scored on a receiving touchdown. He has returned an interception for a touchdown, and he is a kickoff return for a touchdown as well. A very dynamic player with great speed who can break one at any time.
And the Lehigh Valley, one of the winningest coaches of all time, is Jim Morgan's 11 seasons as the head coach at Parkland, 112-32 in that time. But as a head coach, he's been at it for 32 seasons. And for a long time, he was a win-T football coach, but he's gone the way of the future of football. It's the spread offense. He did it about 4 years ago, and he's got maybe the prototypical spread offensive quarterback at the high school level in Devontae Cross.
What a sensational athlete, 6'2", 190 pounds. He was dinged up in the quarterfinal win against LaSalle a couple of weeks ago. Didn't play defense last week, I should say. He has been recruited to go to Boston College to play cornerback, but on the offensive side of the football, he owns the Parkland record book for quarterbacks. He can throw it, he can run it. He has 1,400 yards on the ground and 19 touchdowns, nearly 2,700 yards through the air and 24 touchdowns. He is a real threat with his arm and with his feet.
Central Catholic out of downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As for the Parkland Trojans in Orfield, an Allentown area, just in the part of the Lehigh Valley, meeting here in Hershey for the Quad A State Championship. The Trojans got here by beating District 12 champion LaSalle, won that one in overtime, 16-13, and then beat District 1 champion Upper Dublin last week in the semifinals. For the Vikings, coming out of that WPIAL, they beat District 6 champion State College, and then a win over Cumberland Valley. And this is a Viking team, as we said. They don't give up a whole lot of points, just under 10 points per game. But it's not a bad Parkland defense either.
Well, the athletes that we talked about on offense, the like of a Devontae Cross and Kenny Yaboa, who's a receiver and a defensive back, Eric DiGirolamo, running back and a linebacker. They will play on both sides of the football. They are tremendous athletes and gritty players. But Parkland is a team that's very athletic, and if you make mistakes on offense, turn the ball over, these are guys that can take it the other way and make you pay for it.
And when you always talk about matchups when you get to this level of football, and you talked about Yaboa, and he's 6'5" and such a dangerous threat as a receiver. And the defense for Central Catholic, they're good at all levels, but that secondary, Bryson Garner, who's already going to Pitt, and DeMar Hamlin, who's gotten offers to go to a lot of places, and that's defensive secondary. Fascinating matchup.
It's a really, really intriguing matchup. The weapons of Parkland's offense against that very tough defense of Pittsburgh Central Catholic. A lot of it comes down to what can Devontae Cross do? Is he healthy enough? Is the knee going to hold up? Can he scramble? Will they give him time to throw? If you give him some time, pick up the blitzes and the stunts, he's got the weapons if he can get the ball downfield. Parkland, even against his very tough defense, is dangerous enough to put some points on the board.
And now, of course, the other aspect of it all is what Central Catholic can do offensively. It's not a team that has that flash. It's much more of a team that's going to grind it out, run the football, and live on their defense. Captains making their way to midfield, coin toss, kickoff, Quad A State Championship live right here on PCN. 14-1 Pittsburgh Central Catholic, 14-1 Parkland is our matchup.
Parkland has won the toss. They elected to defer. Central Catholic will receive.
Please rise. Gentlemen, if you please remove your hats as we honor the United States of America. Salute its leaders and members of the armed forces with the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner to be sung tonight by Miss Victoria Spangler from Middletown Area High School. Ladies and gentlemen, we present with pride and much gratitude our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Pittsburgh Central Catholic, Parkland is our matchup. On the sidelines, our Mike Zambelli.
All right, thanks, Bob. Week 16 football, and both teams obviously playing their way through some nicks and bruises. Let's start with Pittsburgh Central Catholic. They get a little bit healthier tonight. Cornerback DeMar Hamlin, he was injured 3 weeks ago. He returned to duty last week. He, of course, is a member of a terrific secondary. Running back Vinny Emanuel suffered a leg contusion, missed last week's win. He returns to action, 850 yards rushing thereabouts, and 12 touchdowns. For the Trojans of Parkland High School, last week, Marios Dellis, their team's leading tackler, suffered a broken hand in the first half, did not miss a play the entire game. They've got a cast on his left hand. His fingers are exposed, by the way. He is also their punter. He will handle those duties here again tonight. And of course, all eyes have been on the left knee of the quarterback, Devontae Cross. Suffered a knee injury, a sprained knee in their win in the pileup against LaSalle College High School. He was limited last week in terms of his running, did a terrific job throwing the football. Guys, he will play without a brace here tonight. They have ruled him close to 90%. That is good news for the Trojans. And oh, by the way, guys, it's the final football game of the season in the state of Pennsylvania. You wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. Enjoy the game tonight, guys.
Thank you very much, sir. And it's an interesting aspect of all of that. As Mike said very well, that at this stage, 16 games in and a couple of scrimmages and 2 days of practice, players are going to get banged up. When you get here, though, the ultimate stage of where you want to play, it's going to take a lot to get them not to play.
Free kick out of bounds by the kicking team. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down, Central Catholic.
That is our referee, Paul Sheehan. Our umpire is William Legg. The linesman is Matthew Murphy. Line judge is Joseph Lally. Field judge is John Loomis. Side judge is Jonathan Grande. And the back judge is Martin Moyer out of District 2. And it will be the Vikings who will start with the football, as you see, from the 35-yard line in their Minnesota Viking-like uniforms, as opposed to the Ohio State Buckeye-like uniforms of Parkland, just to give you a frame of reference. And quickly, Ronnie Jones gets maybe a yard on first down, and that's it.
Good pursuit by Parkland Palmer Kirsch, who's had an outstanding year. A 6', 200-pound junior with 8 sacks on the season, leading the charge from his defensive end position.
And we've got a flag before the snap, and this will be procedure against the Vikings.
False start, offense, 5-yard penalty, second out.
Well, a lot of times in these games, in addition to the nicks and bruises in Week 16, a little bit of nerves as well once you get settled in. 55%
completion percentage for the 6'4" sophomore. Again, they don't throw the football a whole lot, but he has thrown 13 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions along the way. Second down and 14 from the 31-yard line after the procedure penalty against the Vikings. Back to Ronnie Jones trying to get outside, and will get what they lost on the penalty, and that's about it as we look at the offense. Starting up front for the Vikings, Donovan Slater is the center. Jake Heinisch is one guard. Jake Troutman is the other. C.J. Thorpe, an outstanding left tackle. And Jake's cousin, Kurt Heinisch, is the other tackle. Rashad Wheeler, a big-timer at the tight end spot. Ron George, Gunnar Farrat, and Bryson Garner are the wideouts, with Ronnie Jones as the tailback, who ran with that football, getting them back to a 3rd down and 9 now at the 37-yard line. And we're going to get another flag and more movement up front.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
So 5 yards further back after going 5 yards further up. It's the Parkland Trojan defense that we look at right now. The ends, DJ Holman and Palmer Kirsch. Inside at the tackle spot is Jahan Worth and Noel Browse. The outside backers are Frank Guida and Eric DiGirolamo. Mario Dellis, who Mike just talked about, is the middle linebacker. Nolan Ridgway, Kenny Yaboa are the corners. Ethan Imler and Zach Ross are the safeties on now 3rd down and 14. And Fisher will take the snap and run directly with the football. And Jahan Worth and company will knock him down at around the 35-yard line. So 5 yards up, 5 yards back, 5 yards up, 5 yards back, and 5 yards and a punt.
And Parkland will do a lot of shifting along that defensive line, and they have caused some procedure penalties over the last few weeks. They get a couple right there and helps force a punting situation, as Worth, who was going to be a key running back for this team, has become an outstanding defensive lineman.
And so now it will be punting time for Central Catholic. And dropping back to punt is Troy Fisher. And Parkland gets a heavy rush, but not quite there to get the punt. And now it rolls and takes a serious Central Catholic Viking roll all the way down inside the 10-yard line to about the 7.
Well, what a swing. I mean, Frank Guida came within inches of blocking that punt. It's not caught at the other end. A favorable roll for Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and Devontae Cross will take over inside the 10-yard line.
After a 57-yard punt, Cross on the season 62%, over 2,600 yards, as we said in the open, 24 touchdowns. In his career, he's over 5,000 yards as a passer, and oh, by the way, 2,600 as a runner. Never forget that aspect when it comes to what Devontae Cross can do, especially in that spread.
Bob, he only ran the ball 6 times last week. He was extremely limited with that knee injury. Did throw the ball for over 240 in the win against Upper Dublin.
And hey, here's a difference. We've got a flag on the snap and a little bit of extra as well along the way.
See what the officials do sorting this one out. There was a whole lot of activity for really nothing going on.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, half the distance to the goal, still 1st down.
Little nerves, little adrenaline, all of it kind of flowing through the body and the bloodstream right now as both teams are jumping off sides in abandon. Backs up the Trojans now to the 4. Cross will take the snap from his own end zone. And he'll hand it off on the sweep. It's Nolan Ridgway. turns the corner to the 10 and run out of bounds at about the 12-yard line. Up front for the Trojans, offensive center is Alex Van Wert. Guards, are Pat Ferry and Andrew Parry. It's the tackles. Noel Browse is a big timer at 6'5" and 265, along with Stephen Fair. The receivers, Rick Pinella, Zach Bross, and the man who ran that football, Nolan Ridgway, along with Kenny Yeboah. Eric DiGirolamo is the tailback. On now second down, we'll call it 5 from the 12-yard line after Ridgway runs for 8.
DiGirolamo is a guy who has rushed for over 1,100 yards. So he's very dangerous as well.
And Cross will run it for the first time here. As Steve said, limited last week because of that knee injury, and he's close to a first down. As we look at the defense and that vaunted defense for the Vikings. The ends are Kurt Heinisch and Rashad Wheeler. The tackles are C.J. Thorpe and big Jermaine Stevens at 370 pounds. The outside backers are Ron George and David Green. They're good. The guy in the middle is outstanding and David Adams. The corners, DeMar Hamlin and J.J. Younger. The safeties, Ronnie Jones and Bryson Garner. As Cross runs it to about the 16-yard line. Third down coming up for Parkland at about 3 to get the first. Cross flushed out of the pocket. He's going to stop, throw, and throws deep. Has a man. It gets hung up a little bit into the wind and coverage as well, as he was looking for Ridgway, and he was covered by Ronnie Jones.
Cross rolling out of the pocket. Some pressure from Adams. That middle linebacker will blitz quite a bit right up the gut. Forces Cross out, and then just a one-on-one battle. Ridgway, a little bit of a push off there on Ronnie Jones, but Jones holding his own and able to knock that pass away, forcing a punt.
So it's fourth down now for the Trojans, and as Steve said, they will punt the football, and the concern for Parkland. Mike Zambelli mentioned it. Mario Della's playing with that cast on his left hand, and he will field the punt from his own 1. Gets the kickoff, and Central Catholic figures to get good field position, but it rolls the other way. Did it touch the return man for Central Catholic? That's the question.
No indication as of yet. Parkland is reacting like it did, but it looks like the officials are going to say Pittsburgh Central Catholic ball.
Return men were DeMar Hamlin and Ronnie Jones, and the officials were standing there and said it did not touch the hand. And so with 8 minutes and 9 seconds left to go, we're scoreless in the first quarter. And let's see if we can see it. Jones is the return man.
Doesn't look like it did. Looked like it bounced by Jones. If he got it with the left hand, it was just barely, because the ball really didn't change direction. And he had 2 officials with very good looks at it.
Vikings starting from the 33-yard line. Jones gets the handoff. And Jones gets stacked up in the middle of that defensive line for Parkland. Delos with the tackle, and one thing you want to watch with Marios, Bob, after watching that last punt, took me a little while to get that football exchanged after he caught the snap with that cast on his hand. Let's see if the Vikings maybe later on really try to go after one. There's no doubt he can play some defense. He is an outstanding tackler for this Parkland team. 126 on the year to lead the defense. Fisher now goes with an empty backfield on 2nd and 9. Has all kinds of time to throw. Looking for a receiver to get home, but he was looking for Ron George, but good coverage by Ridgway. And Ridgway again getting the start in the absence of Cross in terms of starting at the defensive back spot.
George is a big time threat, 18 yards per catch. Gets his arm on Ridgway. Lucky he wasn't called. He's looking for the call the other way, but Ridgway got that head turned around. Nolan Ridgway is an extremely versatile player and very valuable for this Parkland team.
Forces the Vikings, into a 3rd down and 9 from their own 34-yard line. Fisher looks right, but we've got again a whistle and flag at the snap.
Looked like Parkland jumped. I think it was DJ Homan from the left end.
Vikings jumped on offense twice. Parkland jumped on offense once.
Good ball. Encroachment on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
So both teams with a couple of 5-yard penalties apiece, and that's now 3rd down and 4 for the Vikings.
Terry Totten now a much more manageable situation here. Certainly not just a passing situation on a 3rd and 4 when you have a guy like Ronnie Jones available to run the football, but they'll go empty again.
From the 39-yard line. 2 receivers to his left, 3 to his right. And they run a sweep, and it's Ronnie Jones who was the motion man and got the handoff, but it was Jahan Worth who was in the backfield and Ronnie Jones ran right into his breadbasket at the 37.
Little toss, and Worth just sheds his blocker and gets into the backfield. Excellent tackle. They get the ball into the hands of their top runner in Jones, but he never had a chance to turn upfield as Jahan Worth makes a big play.
So what we expected at the outset was the Viking defense, but we said don't look past this Parkland defense that's giving up less than 14 points per game, and the Trojans have certainly responded so far. As again, Fisher will punt, and Pinella is back to return. He'll take the fair catch at the 33-yard line.
Much better field position for the Trojans after that exchange of punts as Pinella comes up and makes the fair catch. No roll on this one. Now, we figured even with as good an offense as Parkland has, the defense for Pittsburgh Central Catholic is truly amazing. We didn't think we'd be a whole lot of points in this game.
I invite you to stick around for coverage of the 100th Pennsylvania Farm Show. Comes your way beginning Saturday, January 9th. Exclusive live coverage right here. Where else but on PCN. Visit PCNTV.com for a full schedule of events. The Pennsylvania Farm Show in January.
So that's when I can plan for the snow to finally arrive, right? Farm Show week.
That's where it starts. From the 34-yard line, Devontae Cross looking to throw the football. Has a receiver, and it's caught. On the receiving end, it's Zach Ross, shy of the first down, but about the 43-yard line, it'll be 2nd and 1.
And Cross had some zip on that one. Just a little stop pattern by Bross. Cross looking right, comes back to the left. Nice catch. And a good pickup on first down for the Trojans.
2nd down and 1. DiGirolamo is the back. They have not handed the ball off yet to the senior tailback. Cross looking to throw for it again, maybe looking for the home run, but he doesn't have time to pull the trigger. He's wrapped up, and he's going to get brought down by Kurt Heinisch, first one to make contact. All the way back at the 32-yard line, a loss of 11 on the play.
And then a flag as well. And that's the whole key for Parkland. Can they give Cross time to throw? And if so, can the receivers get open downfield?
After the play, personal foul, defense, 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
It'll remain 3rd down. They'll mark it off from the spot. 15-yard penalty against the Vikings. The 3rd in this first quarter against Pittsburgh Central Catholic will be enough to move the chains. It should be. And it will be. To the 47-yard line is enough for the first down for Parkland. The first down for either team.
Yeah, Paul Sheehan just announced automatic first down on the personal foul call. So big play by the defense, but nullified. Now Parkland in great field position with a first down.
Cross flushed out and will not have time to pull the trigger on this one as David Adams, that outstanding middle linebacker, gets through and drops him.
You better account for him. He is coming on every single play. 4.5 sacks on the year for Adams. He's just a junior at 6'2", 230. Just explosive speed right up the middle, and he will be doing that all night long. As Terry Totten told us before the game, Bob, he is the heart and soul of this defense. As good as they are as a unit, he is the guy that really makes them tick.
Getting all kinds of Division I looks, including from Penn State and Notre Dame for the next level, but again, just a junior. And he forces Parkland into a 2nd down and 20 plus for the first down, back at their own 37-yard line. Cross steps into traffic and throws deep for Yeboah, who had a step but overthrows. And Kenny Yeboah could not catch up to it, and it'll be 3rd down.
Cross had a little bit more time to throw, and Yeboah was able to get free. Yeboah on his way to Temple. Great size at 6'5", just out of his reach.
69 catches on the year for Yeboah. 13 of them have gone for touchdowns. Now in a 3rd down and 20.
As much as Cross has rewritten the record book for Parkland quarterbacks, Yeboah is in the process of doing the same for receivers for the Trojans.
He is slot left with Ridgway split left. That's the direction that Cross is looking for Ridgway, and it's intercepted. Great coverage by Ronnie Jones to pick it off at the 35-yard line.
It serves the same purpose as a punt, essentially, as you take a shot downfield on a 3rd and 20, but Ronnie Jones, his 3rd interception of the season, the 18th of the year by this defense. Cross taking a shot, 2 receivers going down the left side. Great position inside by Jones. and he's able to get that foot down inbounds and give Pittsburgh Central Catholic possession at the 35-yard line.
So still only one first down picked up in this game, and it's by way of a personal foul penalty, as the Vikings will take their third possession starting from their own 35-yard line. 4:45 to go first quarter, we're scoreless. Flanker screen to Farad, that's a loose football. No, they're going to say it's an incomplete pass. I thought perhaps it was behind Gunnar Farad, and yes, if you're wondering, that is Gus's son, and Gus is on Terry Totten's coaching staff.
Try to swing it out to Farad, who was a quarterback at one time, switched to receiver, couldn't handle it, and Parkland clearly thinking that was a free football as Zach Bross tried to pick it up, but the referees blow it dead for an incomplete pass.
Second down and 10 instead, and a break for the Vikings. Going from their own 35-yard line. Jones, sidecar right of Fisher. Blocker in front is David Green. And Fisher flushed down in the pocket. He's going to try and run with it. Gets himself loose for a little bit. Turns it into a gain to the 38-yard line. A 3-yard pickup. It's 3rd and 7.
That's a great play by Fisher, who has run for over 540 yards on the year. Parkland brings pressure from the outside. From home, and he's able to step up, not only avoid the sack, but he picks up 4 yards in the process.
To the 39-yard line. And brings up a 3rd down and 6 now for the Vikings. Jones back in the backfield, 3 to his left, 1 to his right. Barat goes in motion, misdirection as they hand it off to Jones. He breaks a couple of tackles, but not enough to move the sticks. And now a flag comes in at the end as a little bit going on in the backfield between a couple of linemen, and a flag comes in at the end.
It was Green and I believe Noel Browse, and I think it's going to go against Parkland.
And if so, that's going to give the Vikings their first down.
Worth timed that snap perfectly, but couldn't get the tackle.
After the play, personal foul, defense, 15-yard penalty, results in a first down.
So now both teams have a first down thanks to the flags. And both teams have committed 3 penalties in this first quarter. And a big one here against the Trojans. Instead of getting the football now on a punt, Pittsburgh Central Catholic gets to keep their drive alive.
Wouldn't want to separate that battle. Browse at 6'5", 275. David Green, a sophomore, at 6 feet tall, 240. And an outstanding young player.
Browse, who had been committed to Syracuse, decommitted earlier this week. Adams goes in motion, toss sweep for Ronnie Jones following that way, but again, an outstanding defensive play by Parkland, knifing through and making the tackle was Frank Guida.
That was all started by Homan getting outside, forcing the ball back in. Jones on the toss sweep left has to cut it in because Homan stops him going from to the outside, and that is where Guida is able to make the tackle. Good individual play, but some help from a teammate who gets nothing on the stat sheet.
Second down and 12 as a result. Ronnie Jones on 6 carries right now with a net of just 7 after losing 2 on that one. They change up the tailback spot now, and they bring in J.J. Younger, who had a big game last week. Not going to make a difference right now against this Parkland defense. Just winning the battle and pursuing to the football.
And Parkland is just pretty much selling out on the run right now.
They get the 2 they lost, but there's now in a 3rd and 10.
It's great pursuit. Red jerseys fighting off their blockers.
Younger had his best game in terms of total yards last week against Cumberland Valley in the absence of Vinny Emanuel. And he stays out there at the tailback spot now in a 3rd down and 10. On the wing is David Adams. And we're going to get a whistle and a timeout called, I believe, before the snap of the football. Timeout called by the Vikings. 2 minutes, 14 seconds remaining in the first quarter. We are scoreless. Last time that the Vikings were here was 2 years ago, 2013. They took on St. Joe's Prep, who was here at that time for the first time. And it turned into the first of 2 wins for the Hawks, as John Reed, who's now playing at Penn State University, lining up as not just a defensive back as he is at Penn State, but as a wide receiver as well, was a big part of the offense, as was at the time DeAndre Swift, a freshman for St. Joe's Prep. Of course, now just coming off his big junior year, but that day it was too much of the Hawks, and they took care of Central Catholic Final score of 35-13 in the 2013 PIAA Quad A State Championship game.
And what's interesting, Bob, is that District 12 team has been the stumbling block for Parkland in the quarterfinals, whether it's St. Joe's Prep or LaSalle College High School, and the Trojans finally overcoming that this year with an overtime win against LaSalle College in the quarters. The only time Parkland led was on the final play of the game when Devontae Cross scored a touchdown from 4 yards out for that 3-point win. So they got rid of the District 12 team, and they find themselves getting here to Hershey.
LaSalle got the football first in overtime, kicked the field goal. Devontae Cross ran it in for a touchdown. Here's Fisher's trying to run for something as he can't find an open receiver, and eventually the defensive pursuit gets to him. DJ Holman leading that pursuit for the Trojans on the defensive side, getting it done.
You think of a guy who racks up a lot of quarterback sacks as being a bigger guy. DJ Holman now 11.5 on the season. He's only 5'10", 190, but very quick, stayed in his pursuit right there and was able to track down Fisher for the sack.
So Fisher will punt. And it is Rick Piniella to return for the Trojans. And the trouble on the snap. Fisher goes back and picks it up and gets the kick off. And will roll. It'll take a great roll. And this turns out to be a great kick by Troy Fisher. It will roll out of bounds inside the 5-yard line with 1 minute 20 seconds left in a scoreless first quarter. Our Quad A final, Pittsburgh Central Catholic nothing, Parkland nothing, when we come back to Hersheypark Stadium.
It doesn't matter what part of the state you're from. One thing is certain. Pennsylvania loves sports. On the first Friday of the month, PCN takes you inside the lines at 6:30 p.m. PCN delivers insight from the people who cover sports from every corner of the Commonwealth. From high school to college to professional sports, PCN takes you inside the lines. Learn more at PCNTV.com. For over 25 years, PCN is proud to bring you exciting moments of Pennsylvania sports. From touchdowns to double plays to the butterfly stroke, PCN brings all the action right to you. PCN is a 501c3 nonprofit television network that receives no state or federal funding. Please consider a tax-deductible donation today. PCN is Pennsylvania sports.
Here is the punt right before the timeout. Went through the hands of Fisher, and the Parkland fans are thinking this is a roughing, but he's free game. When that ball's on the ground, that's like a fumble, and he's a running back.
Which makes the punt even more impressive as he gets it to roll inside the 5 to the 4-yard line, and then a great job on first down. Parkland in some trouble right now as Cross tackled at the 1-yard line.
Started at the 4, now back to the 1 as the Vikings are getting the penetration now up front. So Parkland now with -3 yards total. Central Catholic with a whopping 16 in the final minute of the first quarter. We told you this could be a defensive battle, and it has been at least through the first 11 minutes and change. Cross from deep in his own end zone to take the snap. He wants to throw out of that end zone. He's going to throw it high, and he's going to float it into the Parkland bench, incomplete.
This is a big play. Adams again coming on the blitz. Cross throws it away. So you're in a 3rd and long situation. You want to pick up at least something here and give your punter, especially a punter playing with a broken left hand, a little bit of room in that end zone.
Not to mention you're punting into the wind.
Yes, good point.
So Central Catholic figures to get great field position at this stage if they can stop the Vikings. Cross on 3rd and 13 from the 1. He's just going to safely try to get some real estate and hope to break a tackle or two. And he'll take it to the 7, maybe to the 8. And so it's punting time for the Trojans.
If you're Terry Totten, you call a timeout here to try and improve your field position and force Parkland to punt into the wind.
They've called one so far, but I would think that this is a great time to call one, because if you're the Trojans, they are not going to punt into that wind. So the Vikings apparently are not going to do that. So final seconds tick down. And so maybe a little bit of a break, at least for the Trojans. They're going to have to walk to the far end of the field, but now they'll punt with the wind to their back. First quarter of the Quad A State Championship comes to an end. The score remains the same. It's Pittsburgh Central Catholic nothing, Parkland nothing. More from Hersheypark Stadium when we come back after this.
For less than the cost of a stylish coffee, you can support PCN and our programming. With your donation, you help bring Pennsylvania's history and culture, politics and policy, and the best of Pennsylvania sports to all of the Keystone States residents. Please consider a monthly gift to help PCN continue to be everything Pennsylvania.
Back at Hersheypark Stadium alongside Steve Degler. My name is Bob McCool. Mike Zambelli on the sidelines. Parkland about to punt from deep in its own end zone on 4th and 6 starting the second quarter. Dallas had some trouble with it the first time fielding that snap. Gets this one off. And again, the Vikings stand to get great field position and will, as they'll start this drive in Parkland territory shy of the 40-yard line.
The field position certainly favoring the Vikings, and a lot of that is the great punting of Troy Fisher here in the first half. Now they'll try and get him on track a little bit offensively. You got great field position here. You maybe take a shot on first down. Again, Dallas playing with that broken left hand. Took a lot of time to get rid of that ball. Pittsburgh Central Catholic had some guys in the area, but nobody really going after it until it was too late.
Bryson Garner, who was given a verbal to head to Pitt as the free safety in this Viking defense, and he'll line up as a wide receiver as well on offense. Maybe want to make sure he doesn't rough the punter. Again, Vikings figuring to get great field position, and they have it starting at the Parkland 40. Younger stays in there as the tailback, and he gets the handoff and gets about 4.
And Bob, you know what, to me, what's interesting about this Central Catholic team is you've heard about them all year. Everybody knew this was a team certainly not only good enough to get here, but to win the entire state championship. And you heard 8 Division I players, 9 Division I. A lot of them are underclassmen. This is a very talented young team that Terry Totten has.
Younger again, following that offensive line, and a couple of them are the Heinisch cousins, both of whom are juniors. C.J. Thorpe, also a junior, getting a lot of Division I interest.
David Green's mailbox, if they still do that, or his inbox is going to be full. He's only a sophomore. Quarterback Fisher is a sophomore.
And happens to be 6'4" and going to be more than likely, health-wise, going to be a 3-year starter. On 3rd and 3, Younger breaks a tackle. J.J. Younger in the clear at the 15 and gets tripped up at about the 11. Oh, so close to breaking it to the house, but still 1st and 10 at the 11.
Well, I mentioned earlier, Parkland's really selling out on the run, and the good thing for the Trojans is they were finishing the tackles in the first quarter. If you don't finish your tackle and that runner gets free, there's a lot of territory. Really kind of tripped himself up a little bit, or maybe he scores. He breaks that tackle, heads up field, and the biggest play of the night by far for the Vikings.
1st and 10 at the 11 after a 22-yard run. First time either team has earned a first down. The penalty flags have gotten most of the yardage to this point in time. Fisher on the quarterback keeper gets little. Forward progress spots him at the 10, 2nd and 9.
First 3 games this weekend all reached that mercy rule threshold. You and I were talking at the break. We might not see a team get to 35 in this game. We might not see both teams combine for 35. Here's the first real scoring opportunity of the night.
On 2nd and 9 from the 10. Jones back in there at tailback. They'll hand it off to him. He'll fight his way to get to the 6. So it's now 3rd down and 6.
If they don't score here, see what Terry Totten does. He's got a very good field goal kicker. They can pick up a first down without a touchdown.
Yeah, it's 3rd and 5 to be exact from the 6. And Steve said they can get to the 1 and move the chains officially. Jones trying to get that done. He breaks up a tackle, will dive for the end zone. Did they give it to him? They do. Ronnie Jones with a brilliant second effort gets the game's first score from 6 yards out.
Again, able to shed a tackler. Parkland had that play stop, but Jones, keeping those feet churning, is able to get it into the end zone from 6 yards out. He would have been shy of the first down right there on the initial hit. Breaks 2 tackles on his way to the end zone as he gets rushing touchdown number 19 of the season.
Jake Rocky comes on to attempt the extra point. Snap is down. The kick is good. We've got 9 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the first half, and Terry Totten's football team jumps out on top first. 7-0 is our score. Vikings on top. 6-play drive.
Starts with the great field position, picking up at the 40-yard line after the punt, and then just a staple of Central Catholic. Put the ball on the ground. Younger with the first big run, breaking tackles. Then Jones will finish the drive as he breaks 2 tackles on his way into the end zone from 6 yards out. 6 plays, 40 yards, just over 2 minutes. And this is what they do. They shorten the game, they score on the ground, they grind it out, and then they play outstanding defense.
You made mention of a play that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Right now, the play of the game is the punt by
question.
Troy Fisher.
Yep.
His field position changed everything. It set up the short field, and they punch it in. Let's talk about what Terry Totten, the head coach, thought about a keys to tonight's game against Parkland.
Well, I mean, they got a great football team. You certainly got to contain that quarterback, and they got a great wideout outside. So you got to, limit his action. They're very active on defense. You got to pick up those blitzes.
Coach, thanks very much. Good luck to you, man.
So far, his team has done exactly that. They've limited Devontae Cross. They put a lot of pressure on him, and throwing the football, he's off to a 1-for-5 start, including a pick.
Absolutely perfect execution of the game plan right now, and I agree with you 100%. That punt could have been disaster. Fumbled snap, first of all, so you don't know what's going to happen there. Could have been blocked. Instead, it's inside the 5 at the 4-yard line, totally flips field position.
And then the defense comes up with the stop. Doesn't allow Parkland to pick up the first down. Now a kick lined off one of the up men from Parkland, and the Trojans will fall on the loose football at about the 38-yard line.
It hit John Slavinsky, one of the up men. And Nate Weeder is able to pounce on it. And Parkland will have very good field position.
Now it's time as to whether or not the Trojans can figure out a way to get Devontae Cross unleashed. Mike Zambelli said before the game that he's about 90%, and 90% of Devontae Cross is pretty good.
Yeah, better than most, that's for sure. Very talented young man.
Outstanding basketball player, as is Kenny Yeboah, both of whom, though, will head on the college level to play football. Yeboah to Temple, Cross to Boston College.
That's one of the things Jim Morgan's pointing out is we've got great athletes, basketball players, lacrosse players, in addition to what they do on the football field.
Ridgway's lined up as a tailback. They'll hand it off to him. Ridgway will take it across the 40. Talk about a great athlete. Ridgway does a little bit of everything in this Parkland scheme.
In addition to being the long snapper, playing offense, defense, he's been the quarterback. Cross was out for good chunks of the win over Upper Dublin last week with that knee injury, and Ridgway ran the show.
10 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown, mostly out of the Wildcat with Nolan Ridgway last week. His season high was a game against Liberty, the lone loss for Parkland on the season, with 5 receptions for 168. So he can get you as a receiver, as a runner, and he's done a nice job filling in on the defensive side in addition to being a part of the special teams. Cross to throw for it. Plenty of time this time, now runs out of time, runs out of the pocket, he's looking deep, looking for Yeboah, and it's knocked away as he's double covered downfield. Bryson Garner, that outstanding free safety, helping out Ronnie Jones on the coverage.
And that's a situation where Yeboah at 6'5" can still win that ball even in double coverage. Ridgway on the other side of the field was open as a check down. Cross rolled the other way to his right. Yeboah comes all the way across the field, and Garner with great work along with Ronnie Jones to deny that pass for Yeboah.
The immediate concern with Yeboah obviously is his size at 6'5", but Garner as the free safety goes at 6'3". So not only is he talented, but he can match up with him in terms of size. And he's got a couple of interceptions in the last 2 state playoff games, 2 against State College in the quarters and another one last week in the semis against Cumberland Valley. Cross looking for a receiver, overthrows as he was looking for the slant pattern for Zach Post, but he overthrew that slant to post, not the post on a slant.
Gotcha. I'm with you.
4th and 7 is the end result.
Can you draw that up for me in a break so I can really follow it? And Parkland really struggling offensively right now. Looks like they're keeping the offense on the field. However, Cross will pooch punt in these situations. He's punted a couple of times this year.
And the wind is at his back. And now if Central Catholic doesn't have anybody deep, and it might have just cost the Vikings a timeout. So the Vikings end up having to burn a second timeout here because they're not quite sure what the situation was going to be on 4th down. The last time the Trojans were here in a state final was 2007, and they lost to Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Jim Morgans obviously was the head coach at that time, and it was just a little bit too much Vikings. Tino Senseri, who went on to play at Pitt and is now playing in the Canadian Football League. Andrew Taglianetti, who also went on to play at Pitt, an outstanding high school football player. And they were just too much for John Lobb and the Parkland Trojans that day. And Pittsburgh Central Catholic won that one 21-0.
What was interesting about that matchup is in the following summer here in the Big 33 game, Jim Morgans was the coach of the Pennsylvania team. He had a handful of Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings on that Pennsylvania squad, including Sunseri. He had so many good things to say about Sunseri, but that was the team that beat them here in 2007 as Jim Morgans was denied a personal 3rd state championship as a head coach.
He was the head coach for Allentown Central Catholic in 1993 and 1998. As we said, 32 years he's been the head coach. Parkland did win a state championship in 2002. They beat Woodland Hills in that one 34-12. As we said, for Jim Morgans, this is his 11th season as the head coach at Parkland High School. 32 years in total and 262 wins coming in. So they do punt the football. It doesn't force the Vikings to burn their second timeout. However, with 8.5 minutes left to go, the Vikings will get the football back.
And Parkland's looking for a roughing call on Adams, who came blasting through. The coaches see him on the sidelines with their hands out. Cross backed up a couple of steps. As usual, Adams firing right through the middle. It looks like Cross came out of that okay with that left knee not 100%.
And of course, being the danger of having that leg exposed either side. The ball rolled out of bounds at the 29-yard line. So that's where the Vikings will start, 1st and 10. Pittsburgh Central Catholic on top 7-0, taking advantage of a short field. Driving from the 40-yard line.
Cross is not out there on defense. We might see him in some nickel situations.
Barat goes in motion left side to right. Handoff is to Jones, and he is hit before he gets to the line of scrimmage. Forward progress will spot him at the 30, and it's 2nd and 9.
Well, the difference on the last drive, in addition to the short field for Central Catholic, was Parkland did not finish off its tackles, and Jones not able to escape here.
Jones headed to Toledo, 100 yards plus 7 times in the 15 games that Central Catholic has played so far. His season high was 243 against Seneca Valley. Different story today, 9 carries, 18 yards in total after a 1-yard pickup here. And we're going to get another whistle before the snap. Central Catholic has jumped off sides twice in this game.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Make it 3. 4th penalty for a total of 30 yards against the Vikings, and they're now in a 3rd and 14.
We talked about Jones. He has a rushing touchdown tonight. He's caught a touchdown pass, interception return, kick return. In the WPIAL championship game, he had a punt return called back because of a penalty, and he had a screen pass reception called back because of a penalty. Almost 74 yards, 1 is 70. He's just a special player.
And right now, the defense for the Trojans is just zeroing in on him, led by Frank Guida and company. They just shoved him backwards as he got the line of scrimmage. Maybe on forward progress, he got a yard to the 26-yard line, but it's going to bring up 3rd down now for Central Catholic. Backed up first by the penalty, and the defense for the Trojans just stifling the running game.
And clearly, if you're Parkland, you would like to see someone other than Ronnie Jones beat you, and it's just a matter of being able to wrap him up and bring him down, and Parkland will take a timeout here on defense.
Trojans thinking time and possession. 3rd down and 13, unless there was a personnel package that they didn't have on the field that they weren't comfortable with. And of course, their defensive coordinator has been here as well. Tim Monsman is the defensive coordinator, former head coach at Liberty High School. Was here a couple of times and won a state championship himself. And let's talk a little bit more. Jim Morgan's talked about some of those coaching staff members he has as assistants.
Just by, tapping into their experience and being here, and that sort of thing. And, what are the things that you've done? And we've had some discussions about that. And some of the guys like Paul Hagedis, he was here the last time we were here, Frankie Lane. So it's just the experience of being here and being able to tap into the things that they did. For example, like today we went down to Lower Dolphin High School. I never did that before, and that really gave our kids a chance to relax before they got here to the stadium.
And Bob, it's not just his assistants that we've been with him a long time. You're talking about Muntzman, who won with Liberty here in 2008, last District 11 4A team to take home the state title. Brett Comp won a title as a head coach at Wilson High School, Wilson in District 11. So he has a lot of experience, a lot of success with guys that have been with him a long time and guys that have just joined him of late.
Fisher on 3rd and 13, all kinds of time to throw the football, looking for Garner, who makes the catch and keeps his feet in and very close to the sticks. Did Garner get enough? And it'll depend on the spot. He is right at the sticks.
Looked like he nearly ran out of bounds, shy of the first down marker. Great protection, good poise, well thrown ball to the outside. And Garner able to make the catch, his 19th of the season, and he gets the first down.
Time of possession, big time in favor of the Vikings, and it will continue now on 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. Fisher in a world of hurt in his backfield, and guess what? DJ Holman was there first.
That was near disaster. That exchange, which ended up being a quarterback keeper, the ball popped free. Right there is Jones and Fisher weren't on the same page, and fortunately for the Vikings, Fisher with the great hand-eye coordination able to keep control.
2nd and 10 now, as Fisher did get back to the line of scrimmage. And now he wants to throw for it. Time, target, Garner way over his head, incomplete. That completion a play ago, 2 plays ago, that got them the first down was the first completed pass by the Vikings in this one.
And it was a big 3rd down conversion. They're facing another one right here.
Here's a good look at Bryson Garner, 6'3", 185-pound senior. And right now, Bryson Garner is trying to do a sales job on his compadre in the backfield, DeMar Hamlin. DeMar Hamlin's got offers from Pitt, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Garner's trying to convince him that he would look great in blue and gold at Pitt. They'll hand it off to Ronnie Jones, who's headed to Toledo, but right now he's headed to the turf at Hersheypark Stadium as he runs into big Noel Browse and goes nowhere.
Browse 6'5", 275. Talk about him decommitting from Syracuse. New Hampshire is certainly interested in him since the recruiting process has opened up, and makes a great play right there on the defensive side. He's an outstanding left tackle as well.
By the way, Rashad Wheeler, their 6'4", 280-pound defensive end, is for the Vikings also will be attending Pitt.
What a talent he is. Very athletic.
Lines up as the tight end on offense, although he's predominantly there as a blocker at 6'4", 280. You can understand why. As the Vikings now will punt the football into the wind, and it will head out of bounds as well. We'll head to a break with 5:41 left to go in our first half. The Vikings holding on right now. 7-0 is our score. Parkland with the football when we come back.
A PCN Select subscription is more than a single championship. It's a year of Pennsylvania sports. PCN Select is a great value for all seasons. Previous PIAA championships, sports profiles, inside the lines, PIAA books about Pennsylvania sports, and PCN Sports Classics, all on demand. Check out PCNTV.com for more details. PCN is Pennsylvania sports.
Exclusive live coverage of the state football championships on PCN. This production is brought to you by our your community, by our cable partners across the state, serving more than 10 million Pennsylvanians and 3.3 million homes. Whether on cable or online, PCN Select. PCN is your only source for all things Pennsylvania, including sports. And while we're thanking our cable partners across the state, a special thank you to our television production crew from Service Electric in the Lehigh Valley, providing our state television broadcast coverage as they do for our football and basketball coverage, as well as softball. We thank them, everybody at PCN. Thanks to folks from Service Electric. Devontae Cross throws it into a crowd, and fortunately nobody there for the Vikings as well. Was really paying attention to football as they had Damar Hamlin tied up trying to block him. He might have been the closest player to it, and ultimately falls incomplete after a 9-yard Central Catholic punt puts it at midfield.
Great field position. Cross had 3 receivers out there. Pinella was the intended receiver because the other 2 were blocking, and Pinella couldn't catch up to that one. It was well off target.
Pinella and Yeboah lined up back-to-back. Pinella at 5'7", Yeboah at 6'5". Cross looking across the middle, it's tipped and incomplete. Tipped at the line of scrimmage against that big defensive line for Central Catholic that goes nearly 6'4", 6'3 3/4 to be exact, and 309 across the front 4.
And perhaps because of that, Parkland has seemingly abandoned the running game right now. We have not seen DiGirolamo, who's run for over 1,100 yards. Defensive lineman getting a hand up there, 3rd down and long.
A big part of that size is the man in the middle, Jermaine Stevens at 6'3 and 3'7". Cross, little shovel pass, he finds Yeboah, and it's going to be a first down. That's the athleticism of Devontae Cross, falling to the ground, shovels it forward to Yeboah for the first down.
Yeah, that's all Cross, keeping this play alive. He is under heavy pressure immediately. And Yeboah, who comes in 81 yards shy of setting the school record for career passing yards, finds himself wide open in the left flat, puts 2 hands on the football. Cross with a nifty move right there, has his head downfield, and is able to make the completion for a first down.
16 yards in total, first catch for Yeboah, just the first down that Parkland has picked up on their own, the other by way of penalty against the Vikings. Cross this time with time, looking for the home run, looking for Pinella, down the field, incomplete.
Pinella matched up man for man with Younger. Pinella just couldn't get himself turned to run downfield. He was kind of sideways a little bit, couldn't build full speed to try and close on that ball. Cross just missed him for what could have been perhaps a tying touchdown.
Instead, it's 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings at the Central Catholic 34-yard line. Stops the clock with 5:02 left to go in the first half. Vikings 7, Trojans nothing.
I like the call, though. On a first down from the 34-yard line, take a shot.
Cross is split out to the left side. Yeboah and Ridgway to the right. Cross will roll to his right. Stops, plants, throws, looking for Ridgway. Did he get a foot in? No, they're going to say incomplete pass, and it'll bring up 3rd and 10.
He couldn't keep control of it. Again, Cross able to keep this play alive. Ridgway toward the sideline. Couldn't hang on. He was actually looking down to see where the boundary was and didn't look the ball into his hands.
Trying to fight football, line and sidelines at the same time, and lost the battle. It's 3rd down and 10 instead. Gotta assume this is 4-down territory for the Trojans, and they don't get it here. Cross looking across the middle, looking for Yeboah. It's even too tall for Yeboah at 6'5", and again, right there with him is Damar Hamlin.
DiGirolamo did a very nice job of picking up the blitz that time. He's very valuable as a blocker. Gave Cross a chance to make this throw. Kind of sailed on him a little bit. Good coverage by Hamlin.
You're watching the Quad A State Championship. Of course, next year at this time, it'll be the 6A Championship, and both of these 2 teams would be in that large school classification still at 6A. We'll talk more about that with the executive director of the PIAA, Bob Lombardi, coming up at halftime here in our Quad A State Championship. 4:49 left to go in the first half. It's 7-0 Vikings, 4th down and 10, and as we assume, the Trojans will go for it. And again, they throw it towards Yeboah, and again, it's Hamlin right there in the coverage.
What a matchup that is. Damar Hamlin against Kenny Yeboah, one-on-one downfield.
You'll be watching that on Saturday afternoons instead of Saturday nights as you are right now. More so than Friday nights as normal for high school football. Those two will be playing Saturday afternoon football next year. Yeboah at Temple, Hamlin wherever he decides he wants to. He's got a lot of options, as we said. Penn State, Notre Dame, Pitt, Ohio State are his top 4 options. Right now, after forcing the incomplete pass, the Vikings will take over. 4:42 to go. First and 10, starting from their own 34-yard line. Vikings on top 7-0. They're just one timeout left in their pocket. And Jones will run with it. He's got some room. Runs close to a first down, depending on where they spot it. It's 2nd and 1 or 1st and 10.
Flag coming in here. There was a Parkland defender knocked out of bounds. See if that is the call. They got Jones outside and good space as he turned the corner. I think this is going to go against the Vikings.
Central Catholic's been penalized 4 times in his first half. Parkland 3. Both have committed a couple personal foul penalties in addition to procedure penalties.
After the play, personal foul, offense, 15-yard penalty. The play did result in a first down, 1st and 10.
So give Jones the 10 on the run and then subtract 15 on the personal foul penalty.
Right there, DiGirolamo gets driven out of bounds after the play. So it's a net loss of 5 on the play for the Vikings, but they will have a first down as they commit their 5th penalty of the game.
So it's 1st down and 10 now for Central Catholic, back at the 39-yard line. So again, he got the first down, so it goes to 1st and 10. J.J. Younger is in there now at the tailback spot. He has really the play of the game in terms of offense. Fisher, as we said, the play of the game in terms of special teams. But J.J. Younger's 22-yard run set up the Viking touchdown. It was run in by Ronnie Jones. Different story here, as he can't get out of his own backfield. Loss of a yard. It's 2nd and 11 at the 38.
Kirsch got the initial hit. Guida able to finish him off.
I've not yet seen Vinny Emmanuel in the backfield. Again, he was shaken up, as Mike said, before last week's game. It did not play. But we expected to see him tonight, at least in terms of health. He could go. Has not gone as of yet. Hey, here's a snap, flag on the snap, a flag on the snap.
False start, offense, 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
And again, it's that shifting on the defensive line. There's Emmanuel on the Central Catholic sideline.
6 for 50 in terms of penalties and yards against the Vikings. Now in a 2nd and 16 back at the 33. Clock continuing to run with 3:35 left to go. We said that the Vikings will eat up time on the clock. This isn't what they had in mind.
No, not going in this direction, that's for sure. Let's see if Parkland maybe uses a timeout here at some point.
Younger stays in at tailback, and Fisher wants to throw for it, or will he? Steps up in the pocket, delivers the football. It's Garner trying to make another, Jones. No, it was Garner trying to make a diving catch, but could not. Out of bounds, incomplete, 3rd and 16.
Good job again by Fisher to step up and avoid the pressure, takes the hit, gets rid of the football. Just running out of real estate on that sideline was Garner. 3rd down and long, and I would expect if the Vikings run the ball here and the Trojans get a stop, that Parkland will call a timeout.
And Yeboah matching up as a cornerback, and what a weapon he is defensively. 6'5" cornerback. Right there with Garner.
5 interceptions on the season for Yeboah.
3rd down and 16 for the sophomore quarterback, and he'll hand it off to Younger. And Younger finds some daylight. He breaks 3. J.J. Younger to midfield and more. To the 40, 30, 20, 15, and run out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Nolan Ridgway with a touchdown-saving tackle. 1st down, goal to go for the Vikings.
3rd and 16, he turns into a 67-yard run in a 1st and goal situation. Parkland had a chance, but turned back to the inside by Younger. A couple of good seal blocks, and Younger then sprints to the outside, avoided a tackle, and gets down that right sideline. And instead of Parkland calling a timeout, Central Catholic is in business late in the half.
And so J.J. Younger with his 2nd big run of this game, setting up the 1st touchdown. Then they go to Ronnie Jones to put it in the end zone, and they try it again here from the 9. Parkland defense is there for the answer at the 6. It's 2nd and goal. J.J. Younger, 6 carries, 97 yards. 1 for 22 and 1 for 63 along the way.
They're taking nothing away from Younger. He's run for over 400 yards this year, but so many times in this game, it's guys you don't necessarily expect, and he has been huge in this first half for Central Catholic.
I'd say it's that Bucky Dent moment, but you don't like it when I say that.
Nope, we're not going to talk about that.
David Green is lined up as the blocking fullback on the toss sweep to Jones. He's got an angle, he's got a touchdown. 2nd time Ronnie Jones is running in from this time 6 yards out, and the Vikings double up their lead.
Gunnar Farrat, great block downfield. Number 7 in white takes out his man right at the goal line, and Jones able to get in. There's Farrat finishing off his block, and Central Catholic turns a 3rd and 16 back at the 23-yard line into a touchdown in a very short time.
Ronnie Jones, 2 touchdowns, both of them from 6 yards out, as Jake Rocky now comes on for the extra point attempt. Splits the uprights, 2 minutes, 11 seconds left to go in the first half. And the Vikings lead is now 14-0.
And a bit of a backbreaker for Parkland. They had a chance to get very good field position with a 3rd and 16 situation. Instead, Younger goes for 67 yards, and then Jones sweeping left side, getting some great blocking up front. And again, Farrat in the end zone with the finishing block, and Jones scoots in for his 20th rushing touchdown of the year, and now a 2-score game in favor of the Vikings.
We mentioned Gus Farrat, the former NFL quarterback, is an assistant coach for Terry Totten, and he is their quarterback's coach, as you might expect.
Why?
And he quarterbacked his son, Gunnar Farrat, who was the predominant quarterback last year for this Viking team, and has now moved to wide receiver, and everybody's happier, probably more so than anybody than Mom, because there was a little bit of tension between dad and son, and put a little bit too much pressure on Gunnar, and Gunnar ended up making the decision to play defensive back and a wide receiver, and Gus said, look, I was just putting too much pressure on him because I wanted him to be perfect, and it just wasn't working out.
We had Gus, a Pro Bowler, played a long time in the NFL, 94 through 08, so realized that, and Gunnar, very smart kid, Ivy League, Colonial Athletic Association looking at him as potential college landing points. They came from Missouri 3 years ago, but Gus very familiar with Western Pennsylvania.
Absolutely, grew up, went to Ford High School, and on to the NFL. Here's Perella with a seam up the middle. Perella just tripped up across the 40-yard line, and he'll go down. They'll spot him down at the 42-yard line. Still 2:03 left to go. Parkland has 2 timeouts left to work with, down 14-0.
Oh, Rick Pinella coming so close here. He fields that on a hop right up the middle and gets tripped up. He still had plenty of room ahead of him, but even with that, Parkland has great field position, a lot of time, and 2 timeouts remaining.
By the way, Gus Farrat has a second son on this football team, Gabe, backup offensive lineman. A little bit bigger at 5'11" and 225 than is his brother Gunnar. Devontae Cross to work from the 42-yard line. Oh, and a big stick as Perella made the catch, and then DeMar Hamlin drilled it. Incomplete will be the ruling. Big stick by DeMar Hamlin.
And Pinella slowly walks off the field. That time, no blitz. They rush just 4, so they drop in coverage. A crossing pattern. Pinella is open. By the time he turns, Hamlin is right there to lay the lumber.
2nd down and 10 now, as Hamlin with the big play defensively for the Vikings. Stops the clock with 1:57 left to play in the first half. 2 receivers each way for Cross. Looks to his left. The pass is caught by Ross, tackled immediately. Spot the football at the 46 and a gain of 4.
Credit to Zach Bross coming back over the middle after the previous play. Was able to make the catch, duck that head, hang on to the football.
2nd catch for Bross, 37th of the season. Junior at 6'4". Cross again looks that way. Cross makes the catch in Viking territory and down for the first down at the 40-yard line.
Now, he's very much an unsung guy in this Parkland offense. It's 2 big catches to get a first down. Even if you don't score here, you have a chance now to run out the clock and not let the Vikings get the football back. If you don't convert there, you're punting.
1st and 10 at the Viking 40. 1:18 and counting in the first half.
1-on-1, Hamlin against Yeboah, split out to the right.
And the closer you get, the more you have that opportunity for the heave into the end zone for Yeboah. Here's Ridgway on a screen to the 35 and fighting for more to about the 33. 2nd down and 3 after the 7-yard pickup for Ridgway, his first catch.
Parkland needs something out of this. Their field goal kicker, Donovan Berger, has a long of 35 on the year, so they've got a ways to go to get within his range.
And again, the wind to their back from the 33-yard line, inside of 45 seconds on the snap. Cross runs out of trouble. Will run to try to get out of bounds, and did he get there? He did. Just barely got to the sideline as Devontae Cross tripped up.
Looks like he's shy of the first down. Had to get to the 30.
Time, I would think right now, is a little bit more important because it's third and now short. And you really wanted to get out of bounds and stop the clock, and they do with 37.9 left. Third and call it 1. 2 yards on the ground on the scramble for Devontae Cross. And he'll run it again, and he'll run the first down and move the sticks. David Green falls on top of him at about the 28-yard line.
And this is where Parkland has been a little limited because of Cross's left knee injury. This is such a big part of their offense, is number 12 running the football.
First rushing touchdown of the first half for Parkland. Stops the clock with 33.4 seconds left to go. Vikings 14, Trojans nothing. PCN is the place for everything Pennsylvania, from high school football to the Pennsylvania budget and politics to Pennsylvania history and more. Watch anytime, anywhere on the new PCN Select app. Watch video on demand, stream live events, or order from the PCN store. Download the PCN Select app from any app store and learn more at PCNselect.com. We made mention of Jim Morgan's coaching a couple of Central Catholic Vikings in the 2008 Big 33 game. Unfortunately, he didn't have the opportunity to coach a couple of quarterbacks who came out of Pittsburgh Central Catholic. One was Mark Bolger in '95, and the other one, by the name of Marino, who did a few things in the NFL. 1979 graduate.
I hear he was pretty good.
Rumor has it. Couldn't win the big one, though. But other than that, you won a lot of other ones. Won a lot of little ones.
Just got a plaque at Pittsburgh Central Catholic regionally as part of the NFL's Hometown Hall of Famers program. That was earlier in December. What an arm. He could flat out throw it.
Heck of a baseball player in high school as well. First and 10 from the 28-yard line for Parkland. And again, the closer they get, the more that lob into the end zone for Yeboah at 6'5" becomes a potential. As the clock winds down in this first half, Cross looking for the deep ball, looking downfield, and a fight and a struggle and an incomplete pass. They went to the other big receiver, Zach Post at 6'4". He could not hold on with the coverage by J.J. Younger.
That's a great throw by Cross. This is a play from the right hash mark, and he throws it to the left sideline in the end zone, and Posts just couldn't come up with it. He'd make that little turn at the end. He had the great size advantage on Younger, who's only 5'8", but they couldn't make the connection. They've got some help over the top here for Yeboah.
3 receivers to the left, Yeboah to the right, and two defenders on him. Again, they'll put Hamlin and Garner essentially on the direction of Yeboah. From the 28-yard line, Cross looks the other way. Dangerous pass as Ridgway makes the catch, and a great open field tackle by Tim Terry. It'll cost Parkland a timeout with 18.4 now left in the first half. Game number 4 of the weekend, and it started out with Bishop Guilfoyle in the Class A championship, 35-0 over Farrell. AAA last night went to Imhotep 40-3 over Cathedral Prep. Aliquippa falling to Southern Columbia this afternoon, a AA game, 49-14. Vikings on top right now, 14-0. A little bit of pressure to add to the Vikings. Last time the WPIL District 7 did not win a state championship. It's happened once in 26 years, 1992.
Yeah, the only time, we were looking it up before the game today, that District 7 has not taken home a gold football. And right now, good news for the Vikings, a 14-point lead late in the first half, but a long way to go.
A defense that's given up less than 10 points per game, but Parkland knocking on the door anyhow. 18.4 seconds to go in the first half. The Vikings will be facing, the Trojans will be facing now a third down coming up.
It should be a situation where the whole field's available. If you get a first down, the clock will stop to move the chains. You can then spike the football, and you'll have some time for a play or two.
Ball is actually, I should say, it's at the 26 after that 2-yard completion before to Ridgway. Cross looking to that sideline, looking for the deep ball down the field, and it's broken up. He was looking again for Bros, but cut coverage. This time it was Ronnie Jones in coverage, and he had help over the top. It's 4th down.
And now you're a little bit limited here because you're down to 13 seconds. It is a 4th and 8. Yes, the clock will stop, but till you convert the first down, there's not going to be a whole lot left here. So something to the sideline or the end zone, likely from Parkland.
Trying to give themselves a second life. 12.9 is what's officially left on the Hersheypark clock. Cross again with time, throwing it over the middle, looking for Ridgway. It's over his head and out in the back of the end zone. And the Vikings will take over on downs.
The passing game's just been a little off here in the first half for Parkland. They've had some open receivers, no question about it. That time, Pittsburgh Central Catholic really dialing back the pressure. We didn't see Adams blitzing, basically a four-man rush. So Cross had some time to survey the field, just couldn't hook up with a receiver on a 3rd and long and a 4th and long situation.
The Vikings will come out, and more than likely they will line up and take a knee comfortably, if you will, in Central Catholic territory. This is a comfortable lead at 14-0. We still obviously have 2 more quarters of football left to play in the Quad A State Championship. And the Vikings will indeed have Troy Fisher take a knee, and that will take us to the halftime mark. 14-0 is our score. The Central Catholic Vikings out of the city of Pittsburgh on top of Parkland by a score of 14-0. And defense for the Vikings, pitching yet another shutout. Their lone loss on the season came against North Allegheny to 24-17. Terry Totten not thinking about that right now as he heads the locker room, and before that he talks to Mike Zambelli.
Coach Totten, congratulations. Good first half, 14-0. What do you like about what your team did in this first half?
Well, we're playing good defense, obviously, and then we finally got our running backs loose a couple times. But we're going to have to keep the pressure on and stay in coverage. They're a very talented, skilled football team.
What have you been able to do to shut them out? This is a team averaging close to 36 points a game. You pitch a shutout in the first half.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, but we're getting some pressure on the quarterback. So far, we're playing good pass coverage as well.
What will you tell your team here at halftime?
Just keep up the intensity and don't take anything. We gotta get more consistently running the ball and keep playing good defense.
Coach Totten, thanks very much, Coach. Guys, back to you.
14-0. Terry Totten heads to the locker room with the lead. We've got 2 more quarters of football. We've got some work to do at halftime. Mike Zambelli and Jim Wills with our halftime show. We hope to have some words as well with the executive director of the PIAA, Bob Lombardi, talking about reclassification for high school football and all sports in the PIAA. Coming up at our break at halftime of the Quad A final.
Did you know you can watch all of your favorite PCN originals and more at home or on the go? Download the PCN app on your favorite device and tune in to see what makes Pennsylvania's heart beat. Watch videos on demand, see multiple live streams, and check out the free selected programs and events. PCN, Pennsylvania Politics and Policy, History and Culture, Sports, and more.
Slam dunk, home run, touchdown, goal! However you score, do it with PCN, bringing you sports coverage every season. Watch live and stream on demand. With coverage this good, you'll be a part of the action on cable and the PCN app.
At Hersheypark Stadium, the Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings 14, Parkland nothing in our Quad A State Championship game. And as we talk a little bit more, we've been talking about it all weekend long about reclassification and the rose between 2 thorns. Is the executive director of the PIAA, Bob Lombardi, joining us in the booth alongside Steve Duggan. My name is Bob McCool, and let's talk about that a little bit more. Bob Lombardi, I remember a year ago at the soccer state finals, you coming up to me in the booth and talking about the fact of, hey, our board is talking about football expansion, and it kind of took you by surprise.
Yeah, it did. It came out of the football steering committee, and after 3 football steering committees, 2 strategic plan, 3 board directors meetings, here we are. So I mean, they really went through it pretty well, and a lot of folks, Bob Tonkin and the football steering committee, did a great job putting a lot of facts and figures together to make an educated decision. I think they did a great job.
And I think that's the key component in that before we get into specifics, and that is the way this thing ultimately comes out. And I've kidded about this with you before, that a lot of people around the state of Pennsylvania think that the PIAA is a bunch of guys sitting around in a cigar-filled room making decisions and everybody has to live with it. And it couldn't be further from the truth. This was an idea that the committee came to you, the board came to you, and now it's your job to lay out a plan to make it work.
Yeah, this was driven by the membership. You know, some people had some reservations, but as the more they looked at it, and then they looked at some of the things that could come out of it, shortening the season a week, cutting down some competition, giving schools the flexibility to start a little earlier and trade a scrimmage for a game, those type of things. Also, the expansion of playoffs to allow more teams that have had great seasons. There's a lot of 12-0, 11-0 teams this year that are sitting home, giving them the opportunity to advance and crown 2 more champions. It was palatable to people, and it really rose to a level and rode a wave, and you folks in the media certainly fanned the flames a little bit to help it. And here we are, so we're looking forward to it.
You could have gone to 5. Why 6 classifications?
6. The reason that 6 came out of the football steering committee was a little more equitable distribution of the schools. One of the concerns was some of the schools are at the bottom of a classification, and the schools they're playing that are at the top of that classification are so disparity in size. So with 6, it makes it a little more equal. Trying to get we had about 96, 97, 98 schools in a class when we first broke the numbers on those parameters. Now we have some opt-up, so it's a little jagged a little bit. But they're closer in size. Now 6, there still is a pretty good disparity. There was a motion out there for the plus 700. That would have really made an equitable distribution. But that's a pretty drastic change from 4 to a plus 700. So this is a first step. I think it's something that may be tweaked as we go, down the road a couple years. But I think all the folks that are behind it should be commended for it, and I think it's going to be great for students, it's going to be great for schools and their communities.
And the interesting part about all of this is that after the plan was mapped out, now you basically have to sit back and wait for the vote and find out which way it's going to be. You thought it was going to come down to a very close vote, and it couldn't. And it was not quite unanimous, but it was a clearly one-sided vote in favor of 6.
Yeah, 26-4 is overwhelming, and I think that spoke highly that the schools did their homework and the district committees did their homework. They went back and said, "Okay, folks, what do you want?" And we're listening. We're trying to do it with the classification style that we had by doing the 10%, which starts to equate the way schools count all students in their school. That is a major change that we've had that we never ever had before. So that, along with 6 classifications, I think we've leveled the playing field a little bit. I know you hear a lot of complaining about this school and that school, but you know what? All our schools play by the same rules. We have a process that you can go through. Stand up, be counted, bring the facts forward. We'll look at it.
And so it is. Decision is rendered, and we're going to 6, and we're going to do it next fall. So you're watching the Quad A State Championship. Next year, it will be 5A and 6A. Added to the mix, it'll be 3 days in coverage, and we'll have it for you right here on PCN. We'll have more of our Quad A State Championship when we come back to Hersheypark Stadium. Pittsburgh Central Catholic 14, Parkland nothing at the break.
Relive the action with PCN. Did you know you can rewatch this and other PIAA championships with the PCN Select streaming service? You can also purchase digital downloads, Blu-rays, and DVDs of PIAA sports championships on the PCN store. PCN brings you the PIAA championships in a variety of sports. From the field to the pool and the court to the track, PCN brings you the best scholastic teams competing on the state's biggest stage from all the best angles. With multiple cameras, instant replay, and professional commentary, we take high school sports and elevate them to new heights. Watch on cable and the PCN app. PCN, proud to bring Pennsylvania sports to you.
The final football game for the season in the state of Pennsylvania has reached halftime with Pittsburgh Central Catholic, the state's #1 ranked team, a 14-0 lead over 7th-ranked Parkland. Welcome back to our halftime. Mike Zambelli joined by Jim Wills. Jim, you really have to love the way Terry Totten and the Vikings do not put themselves in precarious or dangerous positions. They do not panic, and as a result, they have a 14-point lead here at halftime.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job, Mike, of putting themselves in a great position. You're right. They did a great job with their special teams, got the good punts off, got themselves good field position, got themselves in a position to be up 14-0 at the half.
Two teams that work diligently through the 4A bracket to arrive to this point of the season, and what a wonderful bracket this is. You look at the likes of a North Penn, an Upper Dublin, who had a record-setting year, winning their first ever District 1 championship. Of course, former champion LaSalle College High School, Parkland able to get over that hump, as they called it, in the upper bracket there. And of course, down below, Pittsburgh Central Catholic. What can you say? How about that Cumberland Valley game? Their 7 overtime game earlier in the tournament as well. But two teams that earned the right to play on this stage here tonight.
And as you always say, Mike, this is one of the toughest brackets in the state of Pennsylvania, no question about it. Again, this year it was very tough, both sides of the bracket.
Look at the road to Hershey for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Of course, District 7 out of the Whippeal. Won their first 2 ball games of the year. Lost to North Allegheny 24-17. And what a brutal schedule. There's an argument could be made. This could be the toughest schedule in the state of Pennsylvania. They have rebounded, obviously, to win 12 in a row and on the verge here of perhaps making it 13 in a row.
Yeah, the thing of it is, Mike, you take a look at that second North Allegheny game, and you have a stretch right there where they came back, did a nice job, scored a lot of points. Woodland Hills had a tremendous team. Penn Trafford was undefeated as you look down that stretch. So State College and Cumberland Valley coming off that 6 overtime win, that was a tough game as well. So they really have earned their way here to Hershey.
12-game winning streak. They have limited opponents to under 9 points a game, and of course the shutout here in the first half. Well, we mentioned this road to the champion. Look at them. Pine Richland was up among the state's top-ranked team with North Allegheny. Then you have the likes of Seneca Valley and North Hills, Shaler, Butler, Fox Chapel. Terrific Whippeal Northern 8 there.
Well, you have Pine Richland in this championship game last year, Mike. They end up getting a sophomore quarterback, getting themselves another great season. So Pittsburgh Central Catholic had a battle with them all year.
Well, it was a defensive battle, and you had the sense that points were going to be tough to come by, but just enough from running back J.J. Younger in this first half.
Yeah, he did a nice job of following his blockers, getting some yardage as he gets through. This time he falls before he gets into the end zone, but this is going to be a nice run right here. He ducks inside, then he breaks to the outside. That speed was what really helped him. He's really come on, Mike, the last couple weeks. Everybody's given the big, inside pressure to Ronnie Jones, but the thing of it is, Younger has really come on the last couple weeks to give Coach Totten an excellent running back.
And when I talk about that patience, that run right there, by the way, was 3rd and 10. You hand it to your running back. Keep your players out of those risky situations, and it certainly paid dividends in his first half.
And that was a pivotal play because Parkland was going to have a chance to get that punt and have great field position, so they really got themselves out of a jam right there.
Parkland High School, of course, coming out of District 11, they've been on a phenomenal run. 4 years in a row they've won District 11, and they've won 3 league titles in that stretch as well. Won their first 5 games of the year rather handily, then ran into a very good Liberty team and fell behind and wound up losing that one 41-34. Jim, as you and I have documented, they've been a different football team since going down to Cottingham Stadium and beating Easton in Week 7.
No question about it, Mike. They found an identity on both offense and defense, more on defense, I think, and you can see those defensive statistics holding people to like 8 or less points in most of those games, and that was the key, I think, during the stretch, getting over that big hump against LaSalle College. That was the biggest thing, beating that District 12 team.
Easton Freedom, who they shared the East Penn Conference Championship with in the South Division. Here you get a look at it, both teams 7-1. Congratulations, by the way, to Jason Yoder and those Patriots. First league title of any kind for them, but a terrific conference here. Of course, you have the South Division, the North Division, also part of this 18-team East Penn Conference.
Yeah, I think it's one of the conferences in the state of Pennsylvania. It doesn't get enough credit. I think it's one of the toughest conferences, coached by coach, tremendous coaching, tremendous players. This year, again, that was a very tough conference, ending up with 2 guys being tied at the top.
Well, we look at the highlights for Parkland in the first half. Of course, limited offensively, but defensively, and I have to think they'd be pretty pleased with their effort. DJ Holman, number 3, has led a very spirited effort.
They needed a good opportunity, Mike, from that defensive line, and Holman's done a great job. Look, spins off the block here, gets to the outside, gets a hold of the quarterback there. and does a great job of bringing them down. But I tell you, he's gotten in there. Once you get him in there, that frees everybody else up. You see Browse in there as well, number 79. But his immediate entry into that backfield has really provided opportunities for everybody else.
Being down 14 points in this day and age doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. Against Pittsburgh Central Catholic, we both know that it does, Jim. Trojans have led in each, or trailed in the second half in each of their last 2 playoff games. How do they get themselves back into this one?
Mike, they had opportunities in that first half, and I know that they're talking about that in the locker room. A couple of guys had their hands on passes, a couple of things downfield were open, a little bit miscommunication at some point. They got to make those things happen here in the second half. Not that hard. They are an explosive football team. The trouble is they're playing against one of the best defenses in the state of Pennsylvania.
And they've played with Parkland will get their hands on the football first. In the second half, you get the sense that they'll need some production out of it. 14-0, Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Bob and Steve will take us home when we return.
Ready to sponsor the PIAA Championships? Get your business off the sidelines and into the game. Contact us at PCNTV.com or send us an email at sponsor@PCNTV.com. PCN is Pennsylvania Sports.
PCN brings you sports the way you want it, the way you expect it. For the best of PIAA sports, watch PCN. See the upcoming schedule at PCNTV.com/sports. PCN is Pennsylvania Sports. Why would you go anywhere else?
Hersheypark Stadium, the site of the Football State Championships, and Pittsburgh Central Catholic on top of Parkland in the Quad A State Final by a score of 14-0. Alongside Steve Degler, my name is Bob McCool, and we expected that this could be a defensive game. Certainly Central Catholic has a good one, but Parkland's a little bit understated. The Vikings coming as advertised.
No question about it. I mean, they just did a great job in that first half. Parkland very little offensively on the ground. They really hampered the passing game as well. I mean, this Parkland team scores 36 points per game. Got nothing in the first half.
You never know who's going to step up big. This was the only turnover in this defensive struggle. Interception by Ronnie Jones. Who is it going to be? Well, it turns out it's J.J. Younger making a difference in this game.
Ronnie Jones will get a lot of the glory. He has scored both touchdowns, both runs from 6 yards out. This is the first one, but both have been set up by long runs by J.J. Younger. The biggest was on a 3rd and 16. He breaks free for 68 yards, cutting it to the outside, gets down to the 9-yard line. Parkland thinking it's going to get the ball back with really good field position, with Central Catholic punting into the wind. Younger sets them up. Jones with great blocking downfield by Farrat, in from 6 yards again to make it a 14-0 game.
And so what does Jim Morgans and his coaching experience do for the second half? Let's find out with Mike Zambelli.
All right, thanks, guys. Coach, the first half didn't go the way you wanted. How do you jumpstart your offense?
I think, we're getting the ball. We talked about that a lot inside. So get the football, get some couple things going. I think we got to establish that we can run the ball a little bit too.
Coach, you talked about the resolve of this team. In each of your last 2 playoff wins, you've trailed in the second half. How do you play off of that and maybe turn this thing around in the second half as well?
Well, that's what we talked about in there. The kids aren't depressed or down or anything like that. They know we have to get some stuff going on offense. Defensively, I think we're playing just fine.
Coach, go get them. Good second half.
Take a look at some numbers in this first half. And again, Central Catholic dominating in terms of time of possession, which is something Steve talked about at the beginning. That's the style of the Vikings. Grind it out and keep the football.
Yeah, get the lead and then shorten the game as best as you can. They run the ball 26 times in the first half. Younger was the key. He was outstanding. Parkland, a team that averages 220 yards a game on the ground, held to 3 yards total on 9 carries, as Jim Morgan said, and as we expected, they'll try and establish something. Eric DiGirolamo, their 1,100-yard rusher, did not carry the football in the first half. They don't necessarily have to score to start this third quarter, but they have to make something happen positively. I mean, 6 for 22 in the passing game. I would expect those numbers to improve if Parkland has a chance to win this game.
Steve, coaches talk about levels of defense. And Terry Totten's defense is strong up front and outstanding in the secondary. And we saw that in 2 stages in this game. Early on, they got to Davante Cross. They got a couple of sacks early, and then it was their secondary that, I don't want to say put a blanket on it, but in essence did indeed shut down Yeboah and Ridgway and company. and a 6 for 22 first half.
Saw a lot of blitzing from David Adams, the linebacker, early on. Not a surprise there, but in that last drive from Parkland, they were rushing basically 4. They got the good coverage downfield. So it's all about adjusting to situations, using your personnel. And Central Catholic, I mean, they're not here by accident. I mean, this defense has been great all season long. They have forced 27 turnovers, and they were outstanding. Now 28 with the one in the first half. They were outstanding over the first 24 minutes. But as Terry Totten told Mike going into halftime, this game isn't over. Parkland is a very explosive team, and as they talked about there with Coach Morgans, this is a team that's come from behind each of the last 2 weeks to advance here to Hershey for the state championship game.
Parkland will get the football. They'll go into the wind in the third quarter, which of course means they'll have it to their back in the fourth, as Jake Rocky will kick off. And it will be Ridgway on the return, 15 and 20. Nolan Ridgway still on his feet, and still on his feet across the 25 and not going down easily. Great second and third effort by Nolan Ridgway. Takes it out to the 30-yard line.
Maybe a spark for his team as he did not go down easily, so Parkland will have pretty good field position here.
Cross -7 yards rushing the football because of those 2 sacks. And again, Eric DiGirolamo, as Steve just alluded to, 1,100 yards on the season without a rushing attempt. Ridgway actually carried it twice. There you see DiGirolamo lined up as the back sidecar right of Devontae Cross from the shotgun. And there it is, first carry for DiGirolamo. At least forward progress to about the 40 and a good solid 5 yards on first down.
He's a guy who gets about 12 yards per carry, so he's not your prototypical workhorse tailback that's going to get the ball 25, 30 times a game, but he's been extremely productive. 6 yards a pop, and he gets 5 on first down right there.
100 yards on the season on 4 different occasions. His season high, however, was 198, and that came on 16 carries, including a school record 98-yard touchdown run in a win earlier this season in a game against Emmaus in the Eastern Penn Conference, which is where Parkland calls home. Pittsburgh Central Catholic and the WPIAL calls the Northern 8 Conference home.
11:31.
Clock situation here.
Clock didn't start, and so now they reset the clock, running it down to 11:31, taking 18 seconds off the clock on DiGirolamo's 5-yard run to the 35-yard line. Central Catholic Vikings won the first ever PIAA Quad A Championship back in 1988, beating Cedar Cliff and Kyle Brady in that first game, 14-7. Ridgway on the sweep, gets a block, and will not get the first down as Hamlin comes up to make the stick to deny that first down, a yard short.
He will get the forward progress to the 44, even though he was driven backwards. Looked like he had just enough room to squeeze out the first down, but that hole closing quickly. Great blocking by Parkland, but that closes in a hurry as Hamlin again comes up and delivers a big hit.
We talked about a lot of defensive backs who are good in coverage and don't necessarily like to tackle and run. Obviously, Hamlin is not one of them. Quarterback sneak and Cross will run for enough for the first down. Parkland had just 4 first downs in the first half. They get 1 on their first touch of the second.
And all on the ground, 3 running plays. This, in theory, should help your passing game when you decide to go back to it. If you can establish some sort of run, just like Jim Morgan's talked about. And I'll tell you, Bob, Hamlin does not look like a guy who was helped off of Heinz Field in the WPIAL championship game just a few weeks ago against Penn Trafford. He has been all over the place tonight.
First and 10 for the Trojans at the 46-yard line after the quarterback sneak for Devontae Cross moves the sticks. Vikings again showing the blitz with Adams in the middle. Now he steps back away from the line of scrimmage. And we're going to get a delay of game penalty called against Parkland.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that little bit of positive set back here with a delay call.
4th penalty of the football game against the Trojans.
Parkland has won 9 straight since losing to Liberty on October 9th.
Cross steps up in the pocket, delivers the football over the middle, and it's incomplete. He had 2 receivers there. Both Ridgway and DiGirolamo were both at the same spot. And it results now in a 2nd and 15.
And Bob, you mentioned earlier the only loss for the Vikings against North Allegheny, September 18th. They've won 12 in a row, and they got some revenge in the second matchup.
They did indeed, beating them in the WPIAL playoffs and then ultimately winning that District 7 championship over Penn Trafford. 24-17 the final on that one, their 5th WPIAL title.
And that was a heck of a game at Heinz Field. Really competitive battle between two outstanding teams.
There were several really strong teams at the Quad A level, as there generally are, but this year especially at Quad A level, including Pine Richland, who lost a lot from last year's team, but was equally strong, as was Woodland Hills. And nothing doing offensively this time for Devontae Cross, as he cannot get on track and loses a yard on the play.
Outstanding pursuit. There's Adams again. Imagine what he's going to look like next year. Another year to grow. He's 6'2", 230 as a junior.
Trojans now in a 3rd and 16 back at their own 40. Opening possession of quarter number 3. Central Catholic 14, Parkland looking for their first score. Cross wants to throw for a big one and cannot hook up. Pass is too low for Zach Cross to dig out of the turf.
He was open, and if he is able to make that catch and stay on his feet, he has room to pick up a first down. Got himself between a couple of defenders. Rough night for Cross throwing the football thus far. He has completed 62% of his passes coming into tonight.
6 for 24, however, throwing the football. And again, Bross trying to make the diving catch. Too low for him to be able to do that. And so now Dellis will punt the football. J.J. Younger is back along with Ronnie Jones. Their 2 tailbacks are their 2 return men. And Jones says get out of the way of it, as it takes a Central Catholic bounce. Not much of a punt at all. In fact, about a 12, maybe 13-yard punt into the wind. And the Vikings will get good field position for their first touch of the 3rd quarter. Give the gift of Pennsylvania this holiday season to family and friends with a PCN Select subscription. Watch the network live anywhere on the app, plus video on demand, podcasts, and more. Visit PCNselect.com to subscribe and get 1 month for free. 47-yard line is where the Vikings will start on their first possession of the second half, on top by a 14-0 score. 9:24 left to go in the quarter. They look for the home run ball deep, looking for Ron George, but good coverage by Parkland downfield, as Ethan Imler was right there with him, stride for stride.
Central Catholic fortunate not to get a call there. They had their right tackle, Kurt Heinisch, split out on that play along the line of scrimmage. To the right, they throw back to the left, looking for George. Pass incomplete, making up a second down and making it a 2nd down and 10.
George has got some Division I interest. Temple, Cincinnati have offered him. Here's Jones, the future Toledo Rocket, trying to get outside. Won't get much as DiGirolamo makes the play on defense at the midfield stripe. Pickup of 3 makes it 3rd and 7.
Huge pressure play for this Parkland defense. The offense got a first down but had to punt the football away. The defense now has a 3rd and long situation. They have to get the football back.
Green is in there as the blocker in that pistol set, if you will, with J.J. Younger as that back on 3rd and 7. And they'll give it to him on a delayed handoff, and a good play again by DiGirolamo. 25, tackles 25, and the Trojan defense does what was needed, and that's force a quick 3 and a punt.
Younger's been the guy. He has had the 2 big plays in this game outside of the touchdowns. Can't break free this time. Eric DiGirolamo with an outstanding effort to make the tackle.
Back-to-back good tackles by DiGirolamo, and now it'll be Ridgway who will go back and look for actually it's Devontae Cross back as the return man on the punt. How about that?
Very interesting.
As Fisher, one quarterback will kick to the other. And again, strong rush, and they angle it away from Devontae Cross, and another great job by Fisher. Rolls this one out of bounds. No opportunity on the return as it rolls out of bounds at the 15.
I don't think any of it's been by design, but it's worked out perfectly for Troy Fisher punting the football. That went off the side of the foot, but it had a favorable roll. He's averaging about 33 yards per kick, but he pins Parkland back inside the 20-yard line once again.
And 0 in return yards. That's been more important, as the Trojans have not had that opportunity at all on special teams. And Devontae Cross and company head back out of the field, starting from their own 16-yard line. Again, it's a 14-0 score. Viking defense in control of this football game. Three receivers to the right, and they'll go to the ground game. And DiGirolamo, he's hit, breaks free of a tackle, breaks free of a second tackle, and the pursuit will wrap him up at the 19. A lot of work to get 3 yards.
Late flag comes in. This may benefit Parkland. It's about a good 3-yard run, as you're going to see. And he really fought for the last couple here. Stopped a couple of times, just kept on going.
Dead ball. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense. 15-yard penalty.
That would be the third personal foul penalty against Central Catholic in this football game. 7 penalties in total, and a first down for Parkland.
If you're the Trojans, you have to take advantage of these opportunities. This defense is not going to give you anything in all likelihood. I mean, if you're going to score, you will earn it. But when they do something like that, give you a free 15 yards, you must make them pay for that.
6 first downs for Parkland in this game, 2 of them by way of penalty. Cross throws it as a receiver. It's Bross who makes the catch. Again, fighting through some tackles to pick up a few. Actually, that was Post. Let me correct myself. It was Zach Post on the reception to the 40-yard line and a 6-yard pickup to make it 2nd and 4.
Offense looking a little better here. They're not picking up huge chunks of yards, even though it's an explosive team, but starting to move the ball a little bit more consistently.
There's DiGirolamo again breaking off tackles. Rashad Wheeler had him by the coattail and was holding on, but DiGirolamo just continues to fight for more. Ball comes loose, but he was down, I believe, and if so, it's a first down for the Trojans at the 46-yard line.
Parkland comes up with it anyway. Stephen Fair.
Check in on an injury update on the sidelines is Mike Zambelli.
Bob, you saw Rick Piniella take that hit late in the second quarter. He is out for the game with a concussion. That's why Devontae Cross was back to receive the punt.
Thank you for that update. Perella took a nasty hit from DeMar Hamlin. Clean hit, but a severe one. And so with all caution being done with injuries and concussions, there's no way he is getting back in this game after the first down pickup for DiGirolamo and the Trojans. Here's Cross trying to run for more. He'll get to midfield.
And obviously, Devontae Cross is not 100%. We knew that coming in. The running threat is such a big part of his game. Only 6 carries last week against Upper Dublin. He has not run the ball as much tonight either, but he is still a guy that can make some good things happen in this offense.
2,600 rushing yards to go along with 5,000 passing yards in his career. He finds Yeboah for just the second time. Yeboah is shoved out of bounds, close to a first down, but I believe he's going to be a yard shy depending on where they spot him.
Yeboah 13 touchdowns this year. That ties his own school record. He has the single season record for receptions, single season record for yards, the only 1,000-yard receiver in Parkland football history. We talked about how he's closing in on the receiving yards in a career record, coming in 81 yards shy of breaking that.
Comes up 1 yard short in this one. Cross to try to run for it on 3rd and 1, and will get nowhere but backwards.
Yeah, they ran a little read, and boy, that was sniffed out beautifully by Kurt Heinisch, the junior. Broke that play up before it could materialize.
Wait and see what happens now. What does Parkland do on 4th down in Central Catholic territory at the 48-yard line on the loss of 3? Makes it a 4th down and 4.
There's no time to make the read right there. 2 defenders, as Rashad Wheeler was also in there as well for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. I mean, there's no question here. You have to go for it.
Again, Cross has pooch punt in the pass. Ridgeway in motion, right side to left. 4th down and 4, so 3 receivers to left. Now they'll stop, they'll look. This is kind of standard operating procedure, and now a timeout called.
Play clock was at 1.
And this is a huge spot. Again, do you go for it on 4th and 4 from the 48-yard line? You're still down 2 scores.
That's what you have to look at. There's 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. How many times are you going to get the football the rest of the night? I know it's a risk here on 4th and 4 near midfield, but you need points. You need to get some points on the board. That's why I didn't think they were going to punt the ball there. Now we'll see if it changes during the timeout. Maybe they tried to draw Central Catholic offsides to get the first down by penalty. Didn't work, so perhaps the strategy would change. But let's say you kick the ball away and Central Catholic either goes down and scores or takes 6-7 minutes off the clock, you're really hampered for a comeback attempt.
You're limited in opportunities against this Viking defense. In addition to which, if you are Jim Morgans and you do opt to gamble, your defense has been pretty solid too. So if you don't get it, maybe you bank on the fact that your defense has held them down and they'll come up with a stop. But right now, if you're going to go for it, you can't think that way. Got to think positive on 4th and 4 from the Viking 48. Now Cross will take a step back and likely kick it, or will he? Flag on the play, and this is going to be big because obviously if it's on the Vikings, it's a first down.
Players from both sides move. Now, was Parkland's a reaction to Central Catholic, or was it vice versa?
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That changes everything.
That makes the decision pretty easily. Although when Cross took the step back, you got to figure that he was probably going to punt the football. But now you know that the Trojans will indeed punt it after the 5-yard penalty.
They're going to stay in the same formation. Dallas is not out there. It's Cross.
And the difference is the Vikings are not dropping anybody back as a result of this. They don't get much of a kick out of it, as he just he pooched it, but he just dropped it over the line of scrimmage. And so you picked up about 7 yards on a punt. And so you might as well have gone for it if that's the end result.
Parkland just having a struggle here right now. Cross tried to hurry that with pressure coming.
Like David Adams again flying through. Maybe he got a hand on it, but again, it was really more the attempt on the punt and not much of a result. 1st and 10 now, and the Vikings end up getting good field position out of it, starting at their own 45-yard line. 4:53 left to go, 3rd quarter. Vikings 14, Trojans nothing.
It's quite simple now. This Parkland defense has to force a big play. It's a team that needs a spark, and if you're Central Catholic, standard operating procedure.
Vikings have not turned the football over as of yet. Jones on the toss sweep left side. Dances his way for a couple. And ball again comes out, but not before he was on the ground after picking up about 2.
And if you're Central Catholic, that's fine. Clock is going to continue to run. Even if they have to punt this football away, we're going to be down in the closing minutes of the 3rd quarter. Parkland probably won't have great field position if that is what happens. This is how they control the game. Play defense, keep the clock moving.
If we have it, you don't. And even when you do, that's not necessarily a bad thing with that defense.
And you've got a sophomore quarterback in Troy Fisher who will manage the game for you as well. Play clock's down to 6. He's doing a great job.
Right back to Jones. Jones across midfield to Parkland territory. Forward progress will probably give him to about the 48. Pick up a 4 more, and it's 3rd down and 3.
You know, the thing about high school football is that there isn't that 40-second clock, so depending how long it takes officials to get the ball spotted and everything's ready to go, you can use up more than 40 seconds between plays. That clock continues to run under 4 minutes to go here.
Until they spot it, then they start the 25-second play clock, and most teams do this in the 4th quarter. Pittsburgh Central Catholic okay to do it in the 3rd as well. Play clock works its way down towards 10, but before that happens, another flag on the play.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That has been the one fly in the ointment for Terry Totten's team. 8 penalties, 70 yards.
Tough to overcome that, but so far the Vikings have. And you were in a situation where 3rd and 4, run was clearly possible. This is more of a passing situation.
3rd and 9 instead, back on their side of the 50, right back to a gap, and there he goes again. J.J. Younger this time is going to take care of business himself from the 47-yard line to the 46-yard line, 54 yards. J.J. Younger to the end zone.
He has just been the backbreaker. 3rd down has been his calling. Parkland has not been able to stop him. 54 yards straight down the middle, and what a big play again on 3rd and long for the Central Catholic Vikings.
Rocky on to attempt the extra point. Eddie Ferdyhurt is the holder for the extra point, and the kick is good. 3 minutes, 17 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter, and the Vikings add to their lead on the big touchdown run by J.J. Younger, and it's 21-0 Vikings when we come back to Hershey.
Watch PCN's coverage of Pennsylvania politics and policy, history and culture, sports, and more with the PCN app. Stream live events and video on demand in HD from your favorite device. Go to PCNTV.com to start streaming today.
PCN brings you sports the way you want it, the way you expect it. For the best of PIAA sports, watch PCN. See the upcoming schedule at PCNTV.com/sports. PCN is Pennsylvania sports. Why would you go anywhere else?
J.J. Younger. Remember that name. Parkland certainly knows it now.
Little counterplay on a 3rd down and 9. Breaks through at the line of scrimmage, and nobody in the secondary. Younger has been the key tonight. Even though he's only scored 1 touchdown, 8 carries, 152 yards, 19 yards a pop, he has been the difference in this contest.
Coming into today's game, this is week number 16, remember. He had 408 yards. Well, a difference maker indeed is Ridgeway on the return across the 20-22. Again, Younger got a lot more playing time last week in the win in the semifinal against Cumberland Valley because of the absence of Vinny Emmanuel. Mike Zambelli had that injury update from the get-go of this football game that Emmanuel was good to go. Terry Totten told us that as well. He has not, however, because Younger went for 91 yards last week and has topped that season high to 152 with that big 54-yard run.
On a 3rd and 16 in the first half, he runs for 68 yards. On a 3rd and 9 here in the 3rd quarter, he goes for 54 and a touchdown.
Parkland trying to get some kind of offense generated here in this second half. Down now 3 scores. The job gets a whole lot harder for the Trojans. Cross on the rollout. Looks for Yaboa. It's too tall, and again, it's Hamlin on the coverage.
Yaboa open on a little out pattern. Devontae Cross recruited to play defensive back at Boston College. Outstanding basketball player as well for the Trojans.
Good look at the senior. Zach Post checks in as a 4th receiver for the Trojans. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Cross looking to his left, dumps it off short. DiGirolamo again makes a man miss, and then a good open field tackle by guess who? J.J. Younger at the 30-yard line.
Well, DiGirolamo really shifty. Great cuts. Cross checks down here, out in the flat. DiGirolamo right there with a beautiful move. Then Younger, just for good measure, adds to the stat sheet tonight.
At the 30-yard line, denying the first down now, and makes it 3rd and 3 instead. Cross, plenty of time to throw, finds a receiver in the middle of the field. As the pass is caught amongst the under defenders, Zach Post with the catch at midfield and maybe a little bit beyond into Viking territory. And there is a Central Catholic Viking shaken up, and it's David Adams.
He is slowly getting to his feet. Looks like a leg injury. This maybe is the best throw of the night for Devontae Cross. Good presence in the pocket, great protection, and throws a dart over the middle to Post, who makes the catch and quickly covers up to get the first down. And I think Adams is going to have to leave the field here.
21 yards on the hookup. Clearly the biggest offensive play for the Vikings, and a timeout called as well. So the Vikings have to burn their first timeout of half number 2. Both teams having used a timeout as you see them stretching out the leg of David Adams, 6'2", 230-pound junior middle linebacker and a tackling machine.
We talked about him earlier, and you mentioned the schools that are interested. Notre Dame, Penn State obviously linebacker, he's a tremendous middle linebacker, and you think of guys like Paul Posledny, Sean Lee, as athletic as they are. This guy plays in that type of mold. He is all over the field.
And he has had that comparison made. Of course, Sean Lee, an outstanding football player, pretty good basketball player too, believe it or not, at Upper St. Clair. Doing a little bit for the Dallas Cowboys as well. Share your championship moments and win a PCN prize pack. Use the hashtag PIAA on PCN and send your game day photos, tweets, and celebrations to win prizes like PCN TV on Facebook, or follow PCN TV on Twitter to increase your chance to win. Pittsburgh Central Catholic has improved their chances to win here in the second half. They led at 14-0 at the break. They lead at 21-0 now. 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go in the third. Parkland, however, now in Viking territory for the first time in the second half at the Pittsburgh Central Catholic 49-yard line after the 20-yard completion to Zach Post. Again, 3 to cross his right and 1 to his left. Ridgway and Yeboah lined up behind one another on that right slot. Flanker screen to Ridgway. Needs a couple of blocks and gets them to the 45 and then a cut to the 40. 35, Nolan Ridgway to the 25 and run out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
Really a guy that deserves a lot of credit for this team. Ridgway coming in with 248 yards on the ground, 650 through the air. He's played some quarterback in his career, receives this one out on the right side, cuts it back across the grain. Devontae Cross trying to join him for some blocking help, but not needed as Ridgway scoots out of bounds, and Parkland with its deepest foray into Central Catholic territory in this one.
30 yards on a hook up to the 19. Cross steps up in the pocket and then just floats this one out of bounds. Maybe not a bad decision at all. Ross was the closest one to it. Devontae Cross just living to see another day on 2nd and 10.
A really good decision by Cross. Nobody open, pressure coming.
Jim Morgan's 2 state titles in his career, those at Allentown Central Catholic, trying to lead Parkland to a state title. Runner-up in 07. 2nd and 10 for the Trojans at the Viking 19. Cross, again, looking downfield, but Ross cut off the pattern inside the 15. And it's 3rd and 10.
That was just great coverage by right there, Bryson Garner, number 24, right with Zach Bross.
Sometimes we come into these games and you start to wonder about some of the looks that Division I coaches or the players are getting, but these guys in the secondary are definitely legit. Hamlin and Garner are outstanding in coverage.
Adams creeping up again. Excuse me, Bobby. He's been blitzing quite a bit again tonight.
Forces Parkland now into 3rd down and 10 from the 19-yard line of Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Cross across the middle, in and out of the hands. Ross looking for a flag. He's not going to get one. 4th and 10.
And the one thing with Adams, you think, well, maybe you can get a middle screen or something because he's blitzing from the middle linebacker spot, coming hard on every play. The problem for Parkland is they're using DiGirolamo, who would be the screen guy, to maybe get that pass in a blocking situation. So then you have that coverage downfield, and Garner's just a lockdown guy.
And he just slapped that one away. No pass interference. You can see it clearly there. And it forces Parkland to a 4th down 3 scores. No choice but to go for it on 4th and 10 for Parkland.
If DiGirolamo doesn't pick up the blitz, he's never going to have time to turn around and get that middle screen because Cross will be on his back.
Fires this one high for Yeboah, and it's too high for Yeboah. And again, it's Hamlin on the coverage. Choose your weapon. Do you go after DeMar Hamlin? Do you go after Bryson Garner? They're winning every battle right now.
They are so talented. Great size and athleticism. Yeboah tries to go up for it, and Hamlin right there with him, playing bigger than 6'1".
And so on downs, the Vikings will take the football back after Parkland's best drive of the night. Gets it into Central Catholic territory, and then the deep pickup by Ridgway to the 19, but that's where the drive comes to a stop. 21-0 Vikings, 1:46 to go in the 3rd. Jones back in at their tailback spot. And they will hand it off to Ron Jones. Ronnie Jones outside, gets by 1, has the 40, has the 45, and down at the 46. 27 on the carry for Ronnie Jones, and another 1st down for the Vikings.
He's able to break free really for the first time, and taking nothing away from sophomore quarterback Troy Fisher. If he throws the rest of the night, I'm going to be stunned because the running game is getting into gear. Why risk the turnover? You're moving the football, you're up by 3 touchdowns, and by running the ball, you keep the clock moving.
Big offensive line to lead the way at 6'3.5", 273 across the front. Add in the tight end, Rashad Wheeler, who tips the scales at 6'4" and 280. He's really more of a glorified offensive lineman at the high school level. 1st and 10 at the 45 after a 26-yard run for Ronnie Jones.
And those 5 true offensive linemen you talked about, all juniors. Maybe I'll play some running back next year.
Dead ball, false start, offense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
They jump off sides yet again. 9 for 75 now. They jump back 5 to a 1st and 15 back at the 40.
You're much more spry than I am. I got to think you'd run for at least 1,500 yards behind that line.
If you gave him the ball enough, like maybe 1,400 times.
I was thinking 3,000 times, but okay.
Final minute of the third quarter. 1st and 15 for the Vikings, back at their 40, and more movement at the line of scrimmage.
And again, it's that shift by Parkland that is causing
Dead ball.
that movement.
False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Parkland moving laterally along the line of scrimmage, and Central Catholic has jumped on multiple occasions.
10 penalties for Terry Totten's team, and that look on his face is what a coach looks like when his team has committed 10 penalties.
And he's winning 21-0.
Exactly.
And that's what he looks like.
I still think back to your post-game interview this afternoon with Jim Roth, who was mad at his defense after giving up 14 points and winning a state title, because even though they got 7 turnovers, they gave up 14 points. Talk about perfectionists. 1st and 20 now for the Vikings, back at the 35-yard line.
Coaches will always find something. That's what they're supposed to do.
Ronnie Jones breaks a tackle across midfield and finally brought down at the Parkland 44-yard line, 46-yard line, a yard short of first down. It's 2nd and 1. On 1st and 20, they get 19.
Jones beginning to get more and more space, and a short time ago, the city of Easton unveiled a statue of Larry Holmes. This is like an old-style 15-round heavyweight fight. Eventually, things will wear you down, and that big offensive line has been pounding on Parkland all night long.
We're about to head to the 15th round, and the big boys up front for Pittsburgh Central Catholic starting to have their way of things. They're going to head to the final 12 minutes, looking for a state championship at the Quad A level, and they have a lead to protect at 21-0 when we come back. Exclusive live coverage continues here on PCN.
Support PCN and the programming you love by texting PCN TV to 877-907-9770. With your generous donation, PCN will continue to share everything Pennsylvania with you and your neighbors. Please consider donating today. PCN is everything Pennsylvania. PCN is Pennsylvania history and culture. From the founding of our nation to the struggle for freedom and equality. Listen to the words of authors as they discuss Pennsylvania and the people, places, and events that relate to the Commonwealth. Celebrate our diversity, embrace the past as we look to the future, and be a part of building our nation. PCN is Pennsylvania history and culture.
This is game 4 of a championship weekend. It started with Bishop Guilfoyle in the Class A, Evan Chadbourne and company for Bishop Guilfoyle with a win over Farrell 35-0 as Chadbourne ran for 151 yards. Last night in the AAA final, Mike Waters and company, along with an outstanding game by sophomore Aisheem Young on both sides of the field with a 40-3 win. And then earlier this afternoon, it was Nick Becker, the starting quarterback for Southern Columbia, with a win in the AA final. The final score in that one was 49-14. Southern Columbia winning it over Aliquippa. Central Catholic now 12 minutes away from adding to it on that Quad A final. They lead at 21-0 alongside Steve Degler. My name is Bob McCool. On the first play of the fourth quarter, nothing more than a quarterback sneak to try to pick up the first down for the Vikings.
And they will not be in any hurry here. Here at Hersheypark Stadium, there are play clocks for the quarterbacks to see exactly how much time they have left to snap the football. They don't have to rely on the back judge putting his hand up, so the sophomore Fisher can run that play clock down.
They keep handing it off to that young man, and J.J. Younger keeps finding daylight.
As we talked about, there's a lot of great senior talent on this Central Catholic team. I'm taking nothing away from those guys, but there are so many good juniors and some sophomores on this team. And this Younger as a junior is really having the best game out there tonight of anyone.
11 yards more for J.J. Younger, now 9 for 163. And more importantly for the Vikings, another first down at the Parkland 33. Right back to him, tackled high that time, and wrestled to the ground at about the 31-yard line. 2 more for J.J. Younger.
They'll just simply take their time here. Browse a tackle up high. Younger hangs on to the football despite the big hit.
Palmer Kirch, who had that tackle for Parkland. after a 2-yard pickup for Younger at the 31-yard line, makes it 2nd down and 8. Play action fake and a bootleg. Fisher will roll out, and as Steve Deckler said, there's no way he's going to throw the football. Fights for another yard or two. And I've been very impressed by the sophomore's presence back there at the quarterback spot and as a punter.
Great poise. Yeah, the punting game you can't overlook that. But he really pinned Parkland deep a couple of times. And Parkland at the time was really digging for the football even after Fisher was down. A couple of linemen took exception to that, but it looks like the flags will stay in pockets after that.
Only 1 for 6 throwing the football, but again, that's not what Central Catholic specialty is throwing the football. But game management is so important as a quarterback, and when you're a 10th grader leading a big-time program like Pittsburgh Central Catholic, you've got to have poise back there because you're going to play in some big games, and he has had a ton of it. And now again, movement up front as Grouse comes across, but was he drawn offside?
That was movement by the Vikings. Again, that shifting by Parkland really causing some confusion. The other thing, Bob, about being a sophomore quarterback is you're carrying a lot of expectations. You've got the bullseye on your back from day
Dead
one.
Ball, false start, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
You're talking about a team that was most people's pick to win the Quad A State Championship, so you can add those expectations into the mix.
Not to mention playing at a school that produced Dan Marino and Mark Bulger and so many other fine players. Not that you have to be them, but it just adds some more pressure, the legacy, the expectations to win. He's handled everything very well.
3rd down and 11 again after the penalty. Back to Ronnie Jones. Jones cuts it outside and gets bumped out of bounds. Wanted to stay in but could not as Jahan Worth pushes him out of bounds at around the 30, maybe to the 29-yard line. They get 5 back that they lost on the penalty.
Jones stutter steps, goes to the outside. Clock will stop here though with 9:18 to play as Central Catholic just piling up the rushing yards here in this second half.
Puts them now at a 4th down and about 5 or so to pick up the 1st down as they'll spot it at the 28. 4th and 5. You need to get to the 23 to move the sticks. Back to Jones, and he will not get it as he's hit and dropped immediately. Worth there, Grouse there, wraps him up, and on downs, Parkland will take over.
Can't waste a whole lot of time. 9 minutes to play. You need 3 scores to get back in this game. So you can't have any kind of sustained drive if you're the Trojans. You won't give yourself enough time to complete the comeback.
Need a quick strike, to say the least. Maybe working in an onside kick into the mix at some point in time as well. But first, you got to get a score before you can worry about that. They take over at their 27-yard line. Steve mentioned it. Pittsburgh Central Catholic at this point in the second half alone has rushed for 131 yards. Tough to come back. A good defense and a ball control offense.
And as we talked about, it kind of wears on you a little bit. That time of possession, 23 minutes of possession time for the Vikings, under 16 minutes for the Trojans.
Cross works from his own 27. Set up a flanker screen to Ridgway, makes one man miss. Finds himself free to the 40. Nolan Ridgway, is this the big play the Trojans are looking for? It's a big gainer, that's for sure. Into Viking territory, down to the 45, 38 yards on the hookup.
Hamlin runs him down. That was so close to being either a big hit in the backfield against Ridgway or maybe even an interception for 6 points. Central Catholic sniffed it out pretty well, but unable to get there in time was Ronnie George, and Ridgway takes advantage, breaks that tackle and heads upfield. Hamlin gets him down from behind at the 32-yard line.
38 yards on the hookup, 41 yards on the hookup to Ridgway. His 3rd big completion, or 2nd big one in the second half. Cross avoids one oncoming rusher and will wisely just throw this one out of bounds. Incomplete pass stops the clock.
Great coverage downfield. Time no blitz. Cross did well. You cut your losses there. Don't take the sack. And don't throw into coverage.
2nd and 10 at the 32. One thing that Parkland cannot do is turn the football over. Just 1 turnover in this game, and that was in the 1st quarter, and it was an interception by Ronnie Jones for Central Catholic. Cross. Design quarterback draw, and he's got daylight. Devontae Cross will take it to the 20. Pick up another Parkland 1st down.
Gave it a look of a bubble screen to Yeboah. And Cross just simply kept the football. Yeboah split out to the right. Cross running all the way. Lowers the head, gets a first down.
With that 12-yard run, Devontae Cross has now got positive rushing yards. That is 11th carry for now a total of 8. Or sacks in that first half, a big part of it. A couple of sacks by the Viking defense. But more importantly for the Trojans, 1st and 10 at the 20. Cross looks left, looks for a receiver out a little bit too far out ahead of Zach Post. And Post may have knocked it away from a potential interception.
Devontae just a little bit off with some of his throws tonight. Don't know if the knee would perhaps be a factor. It would be his plant leg, the left knee, that was injured a couple of weeks ago.
12 for 36 throwing the football in total. Now in a 2nd and 10 from the 20. This one lofts, looks high. Guess who he's looking for? Yeboah up and in and out of the hands. And again, it's DeMar Hamlin in on the coverage. Throw it high and hope the big man can come down with it.
They've done a good job on Yeboah tonight, no question about it. He's had a great couple of weeks. Over 1,000 yards coming in, but he was bracketed this time deep in the corner of the end zone.
2 catches for just 20 yards for Yeboah.
Even if he comes down with it, he's out of bounds.
It's now 3rd down and 10 for the Vikings. Stops the clock with 8:12 left to play in the game. 3 receivers to the left and Bross to the right. Fakes left, looks right, in trouble, dumps it off short and incomplete.
Tim Terry that time on the pressure.
Terry, the 4th linebacker in there in that 3rd down passing situation, and gets in the face of Devontae Cross and essentially forces this incomplete pass. There's Garner on coverage. Change of personnel. We're going to go for a field goal here?
That's what it looks like.
They will bring on Donovan Berger, try to get some points out of this.
It'll be his longest of the season if he makes it.
37-yard attempt coming up. And he's got it. Parkland finally gets some points on the board. 8 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the football game. Parkland cuts into Central Catholic's lead. It's the Vikings 21, Trojans 3 when we come back to Hersheypark Stadium.
It doesn't matter what part of the state you're from. One thing is certain. Pennsylvania loves sports. On the first Friday of the month, PCN takes you inside the lines at 6:30 p.m. PCN delivers insight from the people who cover sports from every corner of the Commonwealth. From high school to college to professional sports, PCN takes you inside the lines. Learn more at PCNTV.com. For over 25 years, PCN is proud to bring you exciting moments of Pennsylvania sports. From touchdowns to double plays to the butterfly stroke, PCN brings all the action right to you. PCN is a 501c3 nonprofit television network that receives no state or federal funding. Please consider a tax-deductible donation today. PCN is Pennsylvania sports.
Good crowd on hand for tonight's Quad A final. Good crowd of football fans making their way to Hershey for this Saturday matchup. Again, our AA championship this afternoon and our Quad A championship tonight. Total attendance for the 2 games today, 7,223. Again, next year, you get a little bit more for your price of admission. 6 state championship games will begin playing next year. And of course, the expansion, we talked about this with Executive Director of the PIAA, Bob Lombardi, at halftime. The one thing we did not get into was once football got passed, then the avalanche started. And they started expanding classifications all across the board. And as we expected, here comes that onside kick by Parkland. Ball loose, and Parkland has it. I said that was what you got to figure is coming, but you got to score first. Well, they got the score, they got the onside kick, and they've got the football. As Justin Russell with the recovery on the onside kick, the Trojans have it back.
Great kick. Stays low, then all of a sudden takes that big bounce. Ridgway keeps it free, and Lessel able to recover at the Central Catholic 46-yard line. That is a textbook extra kick right there.
Trojans now trying to capitalize, down 18 points. So you're still down 3 scores despite that field goal, but again, at least you're now in attack mode if you're Parkland. Looking for some positive rays of sunshine for the Trojans. 3 receivers again to the left and 1 to the right. 1 to the right again is Bross. Ridgway and Yeboah behind one another in the left slot. Fake that way, now they look for Yeboah and it's behind him.
Pass behind him. And sometimes that pressure, you get a little jittery back there as well as a quarterback. You're thinking scramble, always in the back of your mind, especially with Cross.
12 for 39 now for Devontae Cross. Bolt buys himself some time and now throws it down again, looking for Yeboah high, but he's covered twice, double coverage downfield. And the 40th pass attempt also is incomplete.
He got kind of caught in between there, almost like a jump throw. He wasn't really set mechanically to make a good throw downfield because he's thinking about maybe breaking that out to the right side and scrambling with it. And then he quickly got both feet on the ground and tried to dump it off quickly. And Yeboah couldn't come up with it.
So they get the football on the onside kick, but now it's 3rd and 10 from the Central Catholic 46. Same formation, 3 bunch left, 1 to the right. Now they'll fling it out to Ridgway. Looking for him to break a tackle, and he does. And gets close to a first down, but they're going to mark him shy by about a yard. That's going to bring up 4th and about 1.
Pardon me, Bob. That check down's been there quite a bit tonight. Cross finally picks it up to Ridgway, and he is a little bit shy. And here's where normally this is a no-brainer. Devontae Cross on a quarterback keeper. Quick snap, get under center, but let's see if he has the power to do that.
I think they're going to get a break because I think they're going to call for a measurement. He's close. He got a great spot, and I think the officials want to be sure because this is a big spot. So you got to make sure whether it's 1st and 10 or 4th and 1. And I think the officials are going to call the chain gang on to measure this. It's a huge spot in a football game, and you want to make sure you're right. Officials, again, our championship officials. Paul Sheehan is our referee out of District 2. It's a great honor for these guys, too. It's a great honor for the football teams to get to the state championships. It is for the officials to get that call as well, to work a state championship game. And they're going to be just short, as we said, about 4th and maybe a foot or so. Great effort again by Ridgway.
Made that first tackler miss. It was Hamlin. Then Terry able to wrap him up, drive him back just shy of the first down. I'm really interested in what Jim Morgans and his staff will come up with here on 4th down and inches. Again, 3 weeks ago, everybody in the world knows what's coming, and you're still not going to be able to stop it.
And that's what happened in the overtime against LaSalle. Everybody knew what was coming, and Devontae Cross was still able to get into the end zone and win that overtime game, 16-13 in the quarterfinals, but hurt in the process of that, in the dog pile on Devontae Cross in the celebration, and limited in his ability to run last week. A little bit more mobile tonight, but still 4th and 1 from the Viking 37-yard line. 37 and a half, or 36 and a half if you're from Parkland. They'll hand it off to DiGirolamo, and he'll have the first down.
Another good option. Tough runner. Drive stays alive. Although clock very much a factor right now for Parkland.
Just the 4th carry for DiGirolamo. He's also caught a pass as well. And they're quickly back to the line of scrimmage with 7:14 to go, 4th quarter. Cross back to work, has time, steps up, throws it high. Looking for Bross, he makes the catch. Fending off the defensive Bryson Garner all the way. And Zach Bross with the touchdown reception, 33 yards out.
Ball had a lot of air under it, but Bross, big receiver in his own right at 6'4", 190, able to wrestle it away right at the goal line. Cross takes a big hit to make the throw. He just outworked Garner, a little hand-to-hand combat, and Bross comes up with a big touchdown pass. Let's see if Parkland goes for 2 right now.
You do when you make it a 10-point game, which means obviously you need a touchdown and then a field goal, so you shorten the game a little bit if you get the 2-point conversion here. back to that onside kick. But as I said at the time, if you're Parkland, you got to score first. They did, and then they get the recovery. Cross to throw for it. He's got a receiver in the end zone for the 2-point conversion is Kenny Yeboah. And the Trojans still very much alive. Now down 10 with 7:03 left to play.
Can they dial up another perfect onside kick because they're still 2 scores down, just 7 minutes to go. They need the football back. Drag Yeboah across the middle here. Great protection for Devontae Cross. This was the touchdown. And as good a throw as that is, it's great work by Zach Bross to keep himself open and to be able to make that catch with pretty good coverage.
Puts Devontae Cross over 200 yards throwing the football tonight. More importantly, his 25th touchdown pass of the season. As Bross makes the catch for the score, that's just his 4th touchdown pass reception of the year. His 4th catch of tonight's game. But none bigger right now for Parkland, as that very much puts them alive in this game and brings it to life to the near sideline as well.
And so what do? If you're Parkland? Do you do the same onside kick knowing it worked? Or do you think, well, they're going to make an adjustment now, let's try something else? Or do you kick it away and hope your defense can get a quick stop with 2 timeouts?
I think that's what the ultimate decision is going to be, because they, I don't want to say they got the surprise factor, the onside kick, because you got to assume that if you're Central Catholic. But nonetheless, they did get that. So now maybe you kick it deep and make your defense come up with a stop, because you still have 7 minutes left to play if you're Parkland. You need to stop and get the football back.
I just don't know if that's enough time. And 1 first down, and you're going to lose 4.5 minutes off the clock.
And again, the Vikings are going into the win, so if you can get them to punt, they're punting into that win. They do indeed kick it deep. And the Vikings fall on the ground on the reception, so that's a help. Cam Lasoni on the reception, and he falls to the ground back at the 8.
Now the defense, you give him a chance here. With Parkland kicking it deep, poor field position. The defense has to come up big, and if you're Central Catholic, you're not changing. You're going to run the football and make the Trojans stop you.
They'll start from the 8-yard line. So again, right now, it's up to the Parkland defense to again ride the momentum train that is in scarlet and gray right now. Vikings trying to come up with a counter. Jones back in the tailback with both arms wrapped around the football and pushes the pile forward to about the 13 and a pickup of 5.
Good solid first down pickup by the Vikings.
Jones over the 100-yard barrier, 8th time this season.
Right around 1,600 for the season.
Churning on the sidelines if you're coaching. Terry Totten has been through these wars many times before. Wins the Vikings' 5th WPIAL title. Looking for his 2nd title as a head coach. Nothing doing this time for Ronnie Jones. As Parkland gets through, DiGirolamo has been outstanding defensively.
As good as he is from an offensive standpoint with over 1,100 yards, he is a real force from that linebacker position, unblocked, coming off the edge, able to make the tackle.
3rd and 6 now after the loss back to the 12. 6 minutes also remaining on the 4th quarter clock. 21-11 is our score. Central Catholic scored the first 21. Parkland the last 11. They let the play clock wind down. Down to 7, down to 6 on the snap. To Jones, has a hole and dives. Did he have it? He's got the first down. Huge pickup on 3rd down for Pittsburgh Central Catholic.
Their ability to convert on 3rd and relatively long yardage situations has been a big difference. Fisher's punting in the first half was a real key, but those 3rd and 16s, 3rd and 9, here a really critical 3rd and 6, and they keep the clock going. They can exhaust another couple of minutes off the clock here if they keep running the football. 2 guys over 100 yards. They are right around 300 in the game as a team, and they average 239 yards per game.
And those first downs are just daggers to the hopes for Parkland, who wraps up Jones on this one. Clock still running. Parkland has 2 timeouts left. 23-yard line, 3 more for Ronnie Jones. 5 first downs for Central Catholic in this second half, and obviously all of them have been on the ground. have not attempted a pass in half number 2. J.J. Younger on your screen there with a couple of huge runs in this game. 3 of them, as a matter of fact. The last one, the last score for the Vikings from 54 yards out. 2nd and 7. Again, the clock down inside of 6 seconds when they snap it. And they get it off to Younger, and he's tripped up this time at about the 27-yard line. 4 more for J.J. Younger.
3rd and long 3 to go here. Parkland needs a stop. Opting not to use timeouts just yet.
And another big 3rd down spot for the Vikings offense. David Adams is now in as the blocking fullback. They use both Green and Adams as blockers, with Younger as the tailback. 3rd and 3. And they'll get it again.
And Younger again. Now looking at the clock, they were able to run 35 seconds off the clock from the end of the last play to the snap there. And they still had some time on the play clock. They could have run some more seconds off the clock, and they convert the 3rd down. And now a situation where 1 first down can all but salt this away. Parkland's made a furious comeback here in the 4th, but they need the ball back twice. We're under 4 minutes to go.
2 3rd down runs for first downs for the Vikings, who started this drive at their own 8. They're now at the 34-yard line. And Younger bounces off the tackle, tries to stay in bounds. Trojans trying to force him out of bounds.
It's right near the first down marker, even though he's out of bounds, and he will pick up the necessary yardage. How about this guy? You think about Vinny Emmanuel, who's had a tremendous year with 12 touchdowns, 860 yards. He's been banged up. And you go to J.J. Younger, in essence, your 3rd string quarterback, and he is going to be a 3rd string running back, pardon me. He's going to be the hero of this night.
Absolutely. Zeroing in on closing in on 200 yards, and they continue to feed it to him.
And he has 408 coming in for the season.
Right. And he'll get it again. This time he's hit immediately as the Trojans hit hard. Dellis with the first contact, and then the pursuit gets him. And the Trojans still not opting to burn that timeout. The clock now down to 3:15 and counting. 2nd down, call it 12 after the loss on the play.
It's the play clock just set now at the 3:07 mark, so they can run 20, 25, 23 seconds off the clock here before they snap it again.
It's something you talked about before, earlier in this game, with the Vikings, is the fact that with this style of theirs, if you give it to them, you might not get the football back. And that's what the Vikings are trying to do right now, trying to protect a 10-point lead. Back to Ronnie Jones in the tailback spot. Carries DiGirolamo for a couple of yards, and now they'll call a timeout on another 3rd down call for the Vikings. 2 more for Ronnie Jones. He's got a $117. Just saw the numbers that have continued to go up in this drive. 184 for J.J. Younger.
DiGirolamo again coming off the edge. He's about as good of a football player that you're going to find at 5'9", 185 pounds.
Outstanding effort tonight. Made some plays on defense as well. Part of that defensive secondary for the Vikings that has been so good tonight. And then add in a touchdown and it's setting up the first 2 touchdowns that Ronnie Jones took in for the scores for the Vikings. Those 2 scores in the first half, and then he got the big 54-yard run here in the second. The only touchdown that the Vikings have mustered in this second half, and pace and pace and pace is what you do if you're Terry Totten and you're trying to protect what is now a 10-point lead.
You're not throwing the ball here, right? At the very least, just make Parkland use its last time out.
I would think if you throw it incomplete, you might have to walk back to Pittsburgh. 2 minutes, 38 seconds left to play.
If I can go get a Permane Brothers sandwich, I might be okay with that.
Younger on 3rd down tonight. Jeff Zimmerman with this stat. How about this one? On 3rd down tonight, J.J. Younger has carried it 5 times for 150 yards. Picked up 4 first downs. Wow. There's a stat. Right there's the stat of the game. And they're going to go to him here. And his percent, oh, they went to Jones. And he will obviously not get enough, and it's 4th down. So if you're a Michigan and Michigan State fan, and you remember what happened in that football game, maybe that's what you're thinking right now if you're Parkland. You got to sell out for the block.
You're not thinking it if you're Central Catholic, I can tell you that. Unless you're a Michigan State fan, then maybe.
But again, that's Parkland's best hope is a block of the punt with 2:09 left to go.
Central Catholic's going to take a timeout here. They're going to run it down to 1, or even maybe take the 5 yards. Trade the 1 extra second for 5 yards. Whatever Terry Totten decides.
Devontae Cross again will go back deep for the return. Mike Zambelli had that injury update with Rick Piniella suffering the concussion in that first half. So Cross has to go back as the punt returner. And the Vikings will indeed call the timeout here. Actually, Parkland calls the timeout.
I believe it was Central, Bob. It looks like the referee on the far side was standing with the Central Catholic coaching staff.
That would make sense. And it was Parkland who called the timeout. Excuse me, it was Central Catholic who called the timeout. They're second. So Parkland still has 2 timeouts left. With 1:56 to go. We said at the beginning of this game that Pittsburgh Central Catholic is grit more than they are flash. Defense and running the football, and they, as we said, come as advertised.
And you're not seeing a whole lot of fancy stuff here. A couple of tosses for sweeps, but it's been a lot of handoffs, a lot of straight ahead. Let the running back make the move off the blocking up in front. Here's a toss sweep to Jones. I haven't seen a whole lot of that. He goes in 6 yards for a touchdown. But Younger and Jones have been the story here tonight, especially Younger, who has been so good on third down, as you pointed out. He has had a tremendous night, including that 54-yard touchdown run that made it 21-0 in the third quarter.
Again, Fish, the quarterback, is also the punter. Troy Fisher's done a good job of that tonight. He does get the punt off.
Didn't get much of that one, unfortunately.
But he didn't have it blocked, which is, as we said, the thing that Parkland could have hoped for most. And with 1:50 to go, down by 10 points, Devontae Cross and the Parkland offense with the football. And they will spot it out of bounds at the 46-yard line. So a somewhat short field for Parkland to work from.
Got a pretty good spot. They're going to work it back to the 36. I didn't think
they
the ball went that far, but at this point it doesn't matter. Parkland needs to get the football back and score points quickly.
Yeboah and Post will be split on the right side. Bross and Ridgway on the left. Cross rolls right, pump fakes, looking for the home run. He's got Yeboah. Yeboah at the 30, 20, 15, 10. Kenny Yeboah, touchdown, Parkland. 64 yards and a score, and it took 1 play.
Wow. Rolling right, pumping. Yeboah will get the school record for career receiving yards on a stop-and-go route. He goes 64 down the right sideline, perfectly thrown ball. And he has passed Tim Massaquoi for the most career receiving yards in Parkland history. And he brings his team within 4 with 100 seconds left. What a big play by the Trojans.
Took them all of 10 seconds to get it done. And now Berger comes on for a very important extra point because it makes it a 3-point game. Get the hold down, they get the kick up and home. 1 minute, 40 seconds to go, and the Trojans continue to climb a little bit closer. It's now a 3-point lead for Pittsburgh Central Catholic, 21-18.
What an interesting night. Parkland went 3 quarters without being able to score. Didn't get on the board until 8:02 remain in the fourth quarter. They have scored 18 points since then to get themselves back in the game. Little roll here. Right there's the pump on the stop move. Yeboah heads upfield, able to get behind the secondary. Perfectly thrown ball, and then he uses those long strides from there to get in from 64 yards out.
DeMar Hamlin has won the battle time and time again tonight, but a great route run by Kenny Yeboah. Sold the out and then went up the field, and all of a sudden Parkland is within a chance to get the football back here. 1 minute 40 seconds to go, and they're down a field goal. The longest field goal of Donovan Berger's career came a little while ago, and it was from 37 yards out.
Which basically means the line of scrimmage was about the 20-yard line. And he didn't have a whole lot more wiggle room from 37. Maybe it's good from 40, but not much more than that. He's going to have the most important kick of his life right here. As much pressure was on that field goal, nothing like this onside kick, as he's already delivered one perfect one.
Went right on that one.
Looks like they will here too. He's going to set up towards the left hash mark, so he's got a lot more room going to his right to keep the ball in play first of all, and to get that favorable big bounce that you're looking for off the turf.
And it is a hard turf, even in warm conditions here at Hersheypark Stadium.
Looks like Yeboah's out there trying to get this onside kick.
There's the big bounce. It's loose on the field, and it's going to roll out of bounds.
Oh, they had nobody on the backside, unfortunately. Ridgway tried to get there. He drove that ball a little more downfield. First of all, ensuring it goes 10 yards, but also you try to catch that first line a little bit by surprise when it takes that big bounce over them. It goes right through Lessel, and then nobody able to contain it on the Parkland sideline.
Give Berger credit. That's another great onside kick. He did his job. Now you got to hope for somebody to come up with a play. And in that kind of situation, if somebody times it right, they're off to the races.
3-8.
Wouldn't be the first time I've seen somebody recover an onside kick in stride and go to the house. Different story, however, as this one went out of bounds. And so the Vikings take possession.
1-3-8 on the game clock. 1-3-8.
Take 2 seconds off the Pittsburgh Central Catholic's favor to make it a 1:38 on the clock. And so now the Vikings have the football, and Parkland has one timeout to call.
So in essence, they'll have to snap it 3 times and not make any mistakes.
$138.
I believe there's 1 minute and 38 seconds remaining in this football game, but I don't want to go out on a limb.
I'm pretty sure. I'll take you up on that.
And a Bronx cheer goes up in Hershey. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line.
They're going to take a knee here. They're going to in a tight formation.
They're just going to go quarterback sneak.
Next
surge behind it. Make sure nobody turns the football over. Have your quarterback run for about 4 yards.
So let's look at this for now. 1:32 left as Parkland takes its last timeout. Let's assume that another quarterback sneak and that the 25-second clock will start between 1:15 and 1:20. So you're under a minute at that point. They may have to snap it on 4th down, do something here, and try to avoid a big mistake.
I think that's what you're going to be faced with. I think you're going to end up having to do something on 4th down.
It depends how quickly the referees set the ball.
Correct.
Now, it's not a criticism. It's an observation that I've seen.
Absolutely.
They take their time.
Right.
And so if they hold to that pattern, that's an advantage for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. There's nothing wrong with that. They've been doing it very consistently all night long. But right now, that would favor the offense because you'll kill as many extra seconds as you possibly can.
And of course, it also means that Parkland has to make a tackle here. Can't let Pittsburgh Central Catholic pick up a 1st down. Vikings have had picked up 7 big ones in this second half. And obviously, any 1st down here clinches the title for the Vikings. Offensive line big up front with Wheeler as a tight end. Bring in David Green at 6 foot and 240 as the blocking fullback. Ronnie Jones the tailback. Fisher under center. Again, takes the snap. Bounces off the tackle. Ridgway and company will bring him down at the 49-yard line.
It's going to be even less than 1:15 to that play clock is started.
And that's what I'm saying. That Parkland also has to wrap him up quickly because when he can bounce off of a tackle like he does here, it's just more time to the advantage of the Vikings.
But 1:10 is where the play clock was started, so that helps Central Catholic right there.
3rd down now and call it 4 for the Vikings.
If they run it down to 1, they can snap it with 48 seconds left. They still have a timeout left as well where they could run the clock down and then take the timeout without a penalty.
You would think if you were going to do that, you'd probably do it. Well, maybe you wouldn't do it on 4th down unless something goes wrong as Fisher again gets stacked up. And so now with 45 seconds left to go,
Parkland needs to get off the pile. Let the referee spot the ball.
That's what I'm saying. They have to make the tackle quickly and get out of the way. As it's spotted at the 50-yard line.
Again, they take their time. This They may not have to snap the football. They just did. So 30 seconds left. They can take the delay here. They can call the timeout.
Yeah, if you're Terry Totten, you let the clock run all the way down as far as it can. There's about a 5-second difference to the play clock and game clock.
So and then, to me, Bob, you just have your quarterback run around for 4 seconds and take a knee. Don't risk anything else.
Right, but the only risk involved now is the snap, because that's the only thing that could go wrong if you're the Vikings. You got to make a good snap, have your quarterback run around, and then fall down, but don't fall down too fast.
Make sure. And here's the other thing: he's not able to look at the clock. The scoreboard here is behind the Central Catholic offense. 4.7 seconds left. I don't think you risk punting here.
Right.
Snap, anything can go haywire. Punt return, punt block. So if you can get him to run around for 4.7 seconds and then fall down, you get yourself a championship.
That's the difference maker, and that's what Terry Totten calls the timeout for. The play clock run down. Now it's time to talk strategy.
I might have taken the extra second for the 5 yards. But it's no big deal, but it's less time your quarterback has to kill.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but running around for stand back there with guys coming at you, 4.7 seconds can be a while to kill time. And obviously Parkland has to sell out, get there quickly.
Like I said, if he goes down in 4.2 seconds,
all they need is a shot.
Parkland's got a chance to go downfield one more play.
Right. And again, you have a 6'5" receiver in Kenny Yeboah, who's as prime of a target as you'd want in a Hail Mary play, but they've got to get a shot here.
And the other thing, which is also risky, is you could roll him out to kill some time and then have him throw the ball as far down the field as you can and just hope for an incompletion or you catch the football, whatever. By that time, the clock is at zeros.
Here we go. Timeout is over. Central Catholic has to snap the football. Fisher's going to be under center. And he will run with the football. They'll run a little bit to midfield. And now
they got time. He did not get the first down.
Absolutely. At midfield, so they're going to have one play, 0.6 of a second left on the game clock.
And for Parkland, you can't argue about how much time's left on the clock, and they won't, because you're going to get one snap here regardless.
Right. You could have given a 1.5, it wouldn't matter. You're going to get one play and one play only. That's all you could do.
So you need a Hail Mary here or a defensive penalty if you're the Trojans.
And they'll do it from midfield.
And neither team has a timeout, so you can't sit back and discuss the strategy here.
It's all on the shoulder of that man. Devontae Cross certainly has the arm to get there, and he's got the wind to his back as well. The numbers for Devontae Cross, 9 for 22 for 216 in the second half. And, of course, a couple of those big hits, one to Ridgeway and then the one to Yeboah for the touchdown. Here we go. Quad A final is down to the last play. And your winner will be determined by the results. Cross with the heave up in the air, and that will do it. The Vikings will intercept it as the ball just got a little bit caught up in the wind, maybe slipped out of the hand of Devontae Cross, but clearly didn't come out cleanly. David Adams makes the pick. It wouldn't have mattered. The Vikings with the touchdown as they hold on. They scored the first 21, Parkland scored the second 18, and it came down to the final play.
What a heck of an 8 minutes to close this football game. Give credit to the Parkland Trojans for fighting back. They lost this game to the Vikings by a 21-0 score in 2007. That was the score here midway through the fourth quarter, and the Trojans came roaring back, but Terry Totten's team has enough to hold them off in the end. They gave the Trojans one more shot, but the defense, as it has all season long, comes up with yet one more play.
The longest 8 minutes of Terry Totten's life just ended because that was as good as it got and as tough and as grueling as it got. If you're the guy trying to protect the lead, yeah, it's nervous on the side of the team trying to come from behind, but you're trying to protect it, and it comes down to this, and you know what Devontae Cross can do, and you know what Kenny Yeboah can do, but it just didn't work out as the ball, but again, I think it just kind of slipped out of the hands, or Cross just tried to put too much height on it and went straight up in the air.
I think he just tried to do too much. They had one receiver split out to the left, three going down the right side. Adams just playing a short center field, able to make the play.
We will take a break. Sarah trophies and final word with the winning coach when we come back. Pittsburgh Central Catholic, your Quad A champion in 21-18.
For less than the cost of a stylish coffee, you can support PCN and our programming. With your donation, you help bring Pennsylvania's history and culture, politics and policy, and the best of Pennsylvania sports to all of the Keystone State's residents. Please consider a monthly gift to help PCN continue to be everything Pennsylvania.
The Quad A final comes down to the final play of the football game. Terrific football game in total. And we knew going in that Pittsburgh Central Catholic, with the style and substance that is the Vikings, a ground attack and a solid defense, that this was not going to be a high-scoring affair, but it didn't look like the Parkland Trojans could get anything going. They finally get at least a field goal out of it, which set them up for that onside kick. They got the recovery, they get a touchdown, then they get the big home run from Cross to Yaboa, and all of a sudden it's a three-point game, and then they needed one big stop. They got it, but the Vikings did what the Vikings do, which is run time off the clock.
Yeah, left them one play from midfield. The defense comes up with an interception. Furious comeback by the Trojans, and not a whole lot of teams scored 18 points in a game against Central Catholic, that is for sure. And it took them a while to get things going. A really excellent fourth quarter, probably a little nerve-wracking for the folks out in Pittsburgh, but the Vikings defense holds on in the win in 13 straight victories to close the season to claim another state title.
Fourth for the Vikings. Again, the first one in 1988. That was the first ever state championships back in 1988. Central Catholic beat Cedar Cliff 14-7. Came back in 2004. And one of the most dominating performances was that Central Catholic Viking team. Terry Totten was the defensive coordinator for that team that beat Neshaminy 49-14. They were the runner-up in 2003, losing to North Penn. And then the championship that we showed you earlier when they beat Parkland in 2007, 21-0. They lost in the 2013 final, but their fourth trophy, fifth WPIAL title as well in 2015. But the Vikings get the W. Hard fought, to say the least, but their defense comes up with the plays, especially in that first half where the Trojans really could never get anything going offensively. They finally found a little bit of daylight, a little bit of positive in the second half. But the difference maker, J.J. Younger, who runs for 15 times for 184 yards, and don't know that he was on a whole lot of scouting reports.
And big third down conversions for Younger. Not just the touchdown, but just keeping drives alive, setting up the early scores for Ronnie Jones. And District 7, the WPIAL, will keep its streak alive, the championship every year since 1992.
Again, the only time that the WPIAL didn't win at least one of the four titles was in 1992. And again, I say this on a lot of occasions because I don't know how many people realize that the state championships in football only started in 1988. Basketball championships go back to the 20s. But the 1988 season was the first year. And Pittsburgh Central Catholic actually got there by default. Upper St. Clair actually won the WPL title and opted not to go into the state playoffs. Central Catholic said, well, we'll go. And they came out with the championship, and they won the first ever Quad A title.
And they'll win the last Quad A title under the current classifications.
That's true, because next year they will play in the 6A classification, as will Parkland. Next year, we will go to 6 classifications. Again, in case you didn't hear this, when we were talking about this earlier, and we were talking with Bob Lombardi about it at halftime, it'll go Thursday night, 1 game, 2 on Friday, as is the custom right now, and then 3 on Saturday. And it'll be 3 primetime games, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. And the understanding, at least at this point in time, for next year, it'll be Quad A, the 4A title, I should say, on Thursday night. Friday night will be the 5A title, and then Saturday night will be the 6A title. Single A title will be Friday afternoon. Then Saturday, it'll go AA, AAA, 6A. That'll be the schedule for next year in 2016.
And as you said, a lot of other sports are expanding their classifications as well, starting next year.
And so let's check in now with the winning coach Terry Totten with Mike Zambelli.
Coach Totten, you're a little subdued right now. I'm going to guess that the close to the game didn't go the way you had it scripted out there.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I'm just proud of those men over there, and they are men after this year they've been through.
Coach, what were you able to do to this team through three? I'm talking against Parkland, three and a half quarters. You shut a team out. That was, we found out at the end, very explosive.
Yeah, I mean, you got to credit the defense. They've been there all year. We gave up a couple big ones, but they stopped it at the right time.
Your success on third down, you didn't panic. You had great faith in that offensive line. You picked up some big yardage on third down in this football game. Is that kind of the way you had it planned, that you didn't want to risk anything on those plays?
Well, we were getting more consistent grinding as the game went on, and we finally got our backs getting through, and that was big. That was big for us in the running game later in the game.
Coach, you pick up another one of these championships. You also won in 2007. Does this one compare to that one? Are they unique in their own way?
Yeah, they're all different. I'm just happy for those kids.
Coach, congratulations. Go enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. Bob, Steve, it's been a heck of a weekend. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Mike. Great work on our sidelines. And we talk about Division I football players, and sometimes it's over-talked about the members of the media, about Division I football players and the impact they have on every sport. And what we love about high school football and high school sports is those other guys. And a 5'8", 160-pound running back is the difference maker in this game in J.J. Younger.
I mean, make no mistake, it's great to watch guys on ESPN and Fox and move on to the NFL, but there's also FCS, the old 1AA. There's Division II, there's Division III. These guys can always find a place to play. J.J. Younger tonight is not your prototypical blue-chip prospect that is going to play for a college football national championship at the Division I level, but he was a huge impact in a state championship game, something he will never forget. He was a backbreaker tonight for that Parkland defense, especially on third down. Maybe not expected. Certainly Jones gets a lot of the attention. He was a real key here tonight in this Central Catholic victory.
So the first three games were a bit one-sided, but the final Quad A game in the 4 classification system comes down to a all-timer, as Pittsburgh Central Catholic is your Quad A state champion. They win it over Parkland tonight by a final score of 21-18. For all of us connected with the Pennsylvania Cable Network, our producer has been Paul Podolsky, our director Donnie Long. Thanks as always to the guys from Service Electric for all their television production work. Mike Zambelli, Jim Wills on the sideline, Jeff Zimmerman and Travis Sparks for their stat help. Steve Dagler, Bob McCool saying good night from Hersheypark Stadium. Pittsburgh Central Catholic is your Quad A state champion for 2015. Thanks for watching another state championship weekend here on PCN.